across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Yes, it's the Late Show with Andre Walker and Asher Gould, and we're going to have a special show tonight about crime. We're going to show some of the viral videos of people just walking through barriers, not paying on the tube, not paying on the train. I will tell you one thing, and I'm going to say this, I think if you didn't pay, if I didn't pay, if Asher didn't pay, they'd have you. But just walking through,
it's discriminatory.
Well, I worry that unfortunately it's a racist thing, because it seems to me that when white elderly people don't pay accidentally, they get stopped, but a young black person is allowed to walk through. Why that is the case, I don't know. Also, something about Surrey Police that we're going to talk about, these sexy joggers, what they're trying to do, Surrey Police, and hello to Surrey Police, by the way, because they'll be watching this. What they're attempting to do in order to mitigate the sex crime that's taking place by illegal migrants to the UK and people from third world countries, they are now dressing up police officers as joggers. So if people wolf whistle or catcall or whatever it's called, then those people will be arrested. The purpose of this is to ensure a good, healthy quota of ordinary British people get arrested, so they can say that this sort of public groping is not only illegal immigrants. That is the purpose of this. But what you are doing, Surrey Police, is deliberately criminalising a group of people who've done absolutely nothing wrong. People who wolf whistle are not sex offenders. It's the people who are recent migrants to the country who are causing all of these problems. I think it's despicable. It's exactly the same as that dangerous extremist Neil Basu, the police officer who was determined to tell us all that far-right terrorism was much more of a serious problem than Islamic fundamentalist terrorism. That is simply not true at all. What you have is, you have the quote-unquote far-right wandering around making off-colour remarks and exercising in public parks, whereas you have Palestine Action attacking British military jets. But I just want to say one thing before we do anything else, and sorry to indulge, Asher, but...
you indulge.
But I just want to talk about the piety and stupidity of the British media and indeed the international media in the past week. Let me tell you something. Israel has a perfect right to attack Hamas leaders because they attacked Israel. Now, let me tell you the important difference between Israel, the United Kingdom, the United States of America, and other countries. If this journalist from Al Jazeera is proved not to be a terrorist, then there is a judicial system in Israel, there is a system of policing, there is a system of courts, and that mistake can be properly looked at and properly checked. What happens here is this: we're comparing two different things, potatoes and tomatoes, as the Americans say. Hamas and these dictatorial regimes across the Islamic world indiscriminately kill people. If Israel decides or works out that somebody is not a journalist, they're actually a terrorist, then there is a proper process for them to go through, and therefore we will be able to check whether it's true or it's not. Now, it may well be that Israel's intelligence is wrong, but there's a big difference between that, which has proper oversight and where people, if they're wrong, will be punished, and the wholesale murder of women and children that we've seen on the other side. Anyway, Asher, I imagine you've got some
Well,
thoughts.
I doubt that's wrong. I mean, they will have investigated properly. They wouldn't have just gone, oh, we think. They would have looked into it. In fact, they put his number out of his membership number and everything on there. And we know that the journalists say, you can't... People moan about journalists not being there. If journalists go there, they have to give the Hamas story or they'll get a bullet in their head. Make no mistake, whether it's BBC. I mean, they want to be on Hamas's side anyway. But the ones that maybe want to report independently, if they do, they get a threat. I mean, I've seen a video of a guy who used to be at AP, one of the main news agencies, saying they put in a critical thing, something about Hamas, and they said, oh no, you better take that out. They're actually told what to say by Hamas. That's not even Al Jazeera, that's just mainstream news. And the other thing with the joggers, by the way, it's not even a crime, wolf whistling. No. It's a pre-crime, it's like a non-crime hate incident, which was told by the numerous Home Secretaries to be gotten rid of, but the College of Policing, which is a quango, there's no sovereignty over it. It decides itself. We've decided, ignore the government. We're going to carry on with these non-crime hate incidents and keep pushing it. While there's loads of crime. Crime's gone through the roof. Rape, sexual assaults.
But actually, Asher, this whole thing with Israel and the whole thing with the joggers, to me, is the same thing. It's about mitigating the poor behaviour of one group of people by saying they're all as bad as each other. So,
well, also, you know, the people causing these crimes, some of them will be terrorists. They'll be coming on the boats, you know, and we could end up with a situation that happened on October the 7th.
By the way, just want to be critical of my good friends at The Sun. I watched a video that they made this week about that man who was a TikToker who was talking about coming to Britain in the 4-star hotel. He was not putting his finger up to the sky. When you put up your single finger like that, it means there is only one God, Allah. And when he was talking about, and they were translating what he'd said from his own language into English, when he was saying, don't be stingy, what would God want you to do? He's talking about jihad. He's talking about paying to come to Britain so that you can attack and bully and maim and Islamify the United Kingdom. That's what he's talking about doing. When he says, come here, brothers, what would Allah want you to do? Don't be stingy. He's talking about accept the cost yourself of jihad. And when he puts his finger up, the Sun said pointing to the sky. He was not pointing to the sky. He is inviting people to come here. I asked you this question. 50,000 people since Keir Starmer came in. What, are none of them terrorists? None of them have a military background. None of them are involved with Hezbollah. None are involved with Hamas. None are involved with the Islamic State. None are involved with Boko Haram. Did Boko Haram sit round and say, hey, lads, let's make sure none of you go over to the United Kingdom on the small boat? Exactly. Did they sit in Iran, in Tehran, and say, oh, the United Kingdom's impenetrable to our attacks?
How are we going to get our sleeper cells in there? I wonder how we can do that. It must be really hard.
Do you think they said that to themselves? Do you think that they said, do you think Hamas and Hezbollah said to themselves, don't go on the small boats, that's for refugees only? Do you think that's what they said? Anyway, let's start off with Matt Stevens. He's a political campaigner, and he's been filming people going through the barriers at various train stations, not paying. Let's play the clip.
Okay. 2 million views.
Transport for London decided not to do anything about it despite the 2 million views. Yeah, we're just watching it. Apologies, there wasn't a great deal of sound on that. But basically, it was a couple of black guys going through the barriers. I have to say to you, I'm very sorry, but it's time to be honest in this country. I don't see that many white people, white old ladies.
You do see white youths.
And I do think there's a racist element to it. I think, now what they go is, oh, we don't stop people that are intimidating. Oh, come on.
I think they're less likely because people think they get accused of racism if they stop. But you do see white scrote bags doing it as well.
I prefer the term scrubber, but I'm old school. OK, Matt Stevens is a political campaigner. Matt, perhaps you can clear this up for us before we start. First of all, congratulations on making the videos.
Mazel tov.
I think it's good that you've done that. It's a good patriotic thing to do. Obviously, Transport for London are not interested, but perhaps you can clear this up for me. I contend that this is racism. I contend that it's part of a growing apartheid society in Britain, because I believe that that young black men are allowed off with it, whereas white people are not. Am I being unfair?
I don't think you are. I think there are some points you raised that are true, but what I think is more true is that TfL staff are allowed to fail. They're lazy, they earn 40 grand a year, and they just stand and watch. I actually think, like Ash said, it's actually more to do with age. You don't see old men breaking through the tube barriers. Right. I actually think it's just young people, to be honest with you, and staff just stand
and by the way, in terms of the overpayment of TfL staff, the guy goes, all change, Waterloo, all change. He earns 40 grand, doesn't he?
Yeah. Plus.
Oh, at least. That's a very low wage there, isn't it? I mean, shouldn't the transport police or proper security be there?
Yeah, so there are about 3,000 security enforcement officers across the TfL network, and they all stand having coffees, fist bumping each other, cuddling each other, ignoring people fare evading, and at times those guys are contracted in for 500 quid a day, and again they just stand there. They've got to get a grip.
They should be sued for breach of contract. I mean, it's ridiculous if they're not actually doing that for 500 quid a day.
Yeah, but there's no accountability. The chief of TfL, who's Sadiq Khan hired, earns £500,000 a year, and he get £130,000 of bonuses last year. For what? People break through the barriers, they don't pay. It's an insult to me, it's an insult to hard-working people. I pay 30 quid a
why
week
don't we
to
just, why don't we just, see, here's what I would do as Mayor of London. They've got all this facial recognition software. I'd just ban them from the train stations. I'd just say you can't travel.
Easy. Easy. You either do that, you introduce AI barriers that recognise those faces, but of course the Mayor of London and others won't do that because it's too easy. It's too easy of a solution. They don't want to do this. They don't want to tackle this as an issue, but it's costing £130 million a year. So it baffles me as to why they don't want to deal with it.
I've got a great story for all of you. I remember a friend of mine was talking to Transport for London before the 2012 Olympics, and he was saying, oh, what are you going to do about the buses in the Lower Lee Valley, in the Stratford area? And they said, don't worry, there's loads of bus capacity. There is not loads of bus capacity. What you are doing is you're basing your research off the number of people who are paying on their Oyster card. What you haven't done is actually gone down and counted the number of customers on board these bendy buses. Now, as we know, the bendy buses were a particular problem. But of course, that is the issue. Quite often, if people don't pay, what it means is that resources are actually moved here, there and everywhere because they base it on the number of people that tap in. So if you get on the train every day, and I know you wouldn't, that has 501 people on, one person who pays and 500 doesn't, TfL believe there's only one person on the train and will cut the service.
Yeah, they're in denial about it. They think there were 64 million incidents of fare evasion last year, which is an extraordinary number in London alone. I think there's at least 3 times that number of fare evaders, people who don't pay for their tickets. It's extraordinary.
It's not a class war, though, isn't it? Because I think, a lot of the tube workers and the train workers, they look at the people pushing through saying, oh, yeah, we're working class like you, solidarity, and the only people paying are the middle classes and the honest people. And so that's sort of what Sadiq Khan would think.
Yeah, it's nonsense. What happens is all that attitude does is it actually increases fare prices for genuine working class people.
Most people, Britain is a fundamentally unfair country. Always remember that the unemployed and recent migrants are always conveniently located close to all the shops and businesses and whatever, whereas people who actually get a job have to get a train, go past those convenience areas. So what happens is you end up, if you're commuting from, say, let's come up with some, if you're commuting from Altrincham, then you're going to have to go a significant distance to get into the centre of Manchester, whereas obviously a lot of the city centre properties are going to other people. So it's a double whammy. But before you talk about that, why don't we watch Robert Jenrick, because the Shadow Justice Secretary having a go at some people. And before you watch this delicious video and listen to it, I just want to remind you of one thing. TfL's answer to this was Robert Jenrick didn't have permission to film on the tube. Take it away.
Excuse me, do you think it's all right not to pay? Seriously, why do you go back through the barrier and pay? Do you want to go back and pay like everybody else? Do you think it's all right not to pay? Why don't you go back and pay? You can say off as much as you want, but everyone else has to pay. You're carrying a knife, you say? Nearly 1 in 25 people using London's public transport aren't paying for it. So there's 8 officers down there, but 1 minute away, that gate's wide open. It's also just annoying watching so many people break the law and get away with it.
Or at least most of it.
Right, should we go over here to these guys here? Excuse me, gents.
Hello.
You're on camera, mate. You're banged to rights.
Just step to the side and...
All right, thanks very much, guys. It's the same with bike theft, phone theft, tool theft, shoplifting, drugs in town centres, weird Turkish barber shops. It's all chipping away at society. The state needs to reassert itself and go after lawbreakers.
And the more people do it, other kids who maybe wouldn't have broken law think, well, I'll do it as well, and so it actually spreads the broken windows, Giuliani thing.
But Asher, before we go back to Matt, or in fact, perhaps both of you can comment on this. Who here, other than me, resents paying in shops now? Because you think to yourself, if I walked out with this shopping, nobody would stop me.
Yep. Nothing would happen, and that's the thing now, isn't it? I always say about fare evasion, people say, oh, it's just £2, but if your first act of the day is to break through the tube barriers and break the law, what the heck does that say about the rest of your day? These people then go, well, I can break through the tube barriers, so let me go and shoplift. That means that ticket prices go up for me and you and everyone who pays. That means that food prices in shops go up for me and you and everyone who pays, and these people just get away with it.
But we live in a country, Matt, where we are the idiots. Our job is to provide a safe haven for terrorists around the world. Yep. We are the slaves, and look, at the end of the day, this is a 2-tier society, and you and me are the scroats.
Absolutely, it's ridiculous. You know, hard-working people like me are paying £30, £40 a week for our tube ticket, and these illegal immigrants barge through the barriers, get on at no cost to us, go and work on a bike, delivering food illegally to people. Meanwhile, I'm working, you know, my backside off. People are working their backside off all across the country trying to provide for their children, for their families, and these guys just roam around for free.
And it's overpriced travel, like you say, because of this reason. If everyone paid their way, it wouldn't cost £4 a journey and stuff like that. It'd be 2, 3 quid.
I mean, even on your statistic, which I'm sure is garbage, 64 million journeys that weren't paid for. If it is £2 a journey, then we're already on £130 million. Now, OK, I accept that transport is expensive, big trains, but £130 million is still a significant amount of money.
It's a lot more than that on a train. It's a lot more than £2, even the minimum.
Oh, I don't believe for 1 second it's only 100.
It's probably £1 billion or something like that.
Right, can I ask you this question, Matt? When you speak to Transport for London, what do they say about these ticket inspectors? Because my argument is, look, at the end of the day, ticketing is now like an honesty box. Pay if you want to, don't pay if you don't want to. Why bother paying for the inspectors? Because all that's doing is putting up the cost again even more.
You're bang on about the honesty box, especially. That's what I've called it. TfL system now is just an honesty box. Pay if you don't, pay if you want to, don't pay if you don't want to. There's no consequence whatsoever. What I would do is immediately invest in the top 20% of stations where this fare evasion happens, introduce robust barriers, and introduce robust staff who actually want to stop these fare evaders, actually want to go, mate.
Here's your slight problem. It was like when I had that altercation with a shoplifter. Always remember what I was told by Tesco staff, and I want to thank Tesco staff, by the way. They told me that if the police arrived, the fact that I shoved him, I would be arrested for assault and he would be let off because it would be their policy, the police's policy, by the way, to not arrest shoplifters. So, in fact, Tesco's didn't... Now, Tesco staff...
You're entitled to do a citizen's arrest.
Tesco staff said it might have been wrong, but their concern was that had they phoned the police, I'd have been arrested and the shoplifter would have been let on his way.
Yep, absolutely believe that. 100%. I don't doubt that for 1 minute. And Britain is broken. That just tells you exactly how broken Britain is. That you, trying to stop a shoplifter, are the one who's probably going to get arrested, rather than some scrote who's shoplifting. It's a disgrace. And
what do you think about
TfL network?
What do you think about the copper that came out? One of the chief police said we should all get ourselves involved in it. I mean, and then I've seen other people. I think I saw Ian Duncan Smith saying, well, that is dangerous, especially in these days of knife crime. And if they're mad enough to just go into Greggs and nick a sausage roll openly, they might shove a knife in you. I mean, what do you think? There's a fine line, isn't there, between stepping in and getting killed? I mean, let's put it as it is.
There is, but what it requires is proper leadership from the police. So if I was an armed police officer and I shot somebody in an instant, I have not got the backing of the leadership of the Metropolitan Police at all. And it's the same with incidents like this. If I arrest someone for this, I know I've not got the backing of the administration in this city, because I know they do not believe fundamentally in law and order. So the whole country, the whole city needs a big rethink for this to actually work.
But isn't the real solution to say, look, I mean, I remember I had a big argument with the Thames Valley Police when they first gave up on patrolling in Windsor. Because obviously people will see in Windsor lots of police and whatever, but that's royalty protection for the castle. It's not the actual police. So when they gave up and created the Green Zone, I said, look, we should be allowed to create our own citizenry that's protecting ourselves. But of course, what they want to do is they want to ban you. First of all, under the Police and Criminal... What was it? The Police and Serious Crime Act 2002. They banned us being able to set up police forces, which had always been allowed prior to that. Then what they did was gave up on certain areas. And then what they now do is they say, oh, we're going to arrest vigilantes. And so what happens is I'm required to walk down the street, a street where the police have given up policing, but I'm not allowed to protect myself. Now, I will tell you, and we can't encourage anyone to commit any crime, but look, if a guy pulls a knife on you and you knife him yourself, that is illegal. But morally, I have no problem with that.
Well, it's not. If he pulls a knife on you and in fear of your life, you can...
I suppose you could.
I mean, you shouldn't be carrying a knife, but maybe if it's a legal knife, like below 3 inches and not lockable... But
you couldn't protect... So, OK, so to be fair...
Reasonable force.
Actually, you are right, but I couldn't take a knife out to protect myself on the street the police have given up on. And I've got a very simple solution, you know, right? Listen to this for great. If you are in the process of committing a crime, you are not protected by the law. think about the implication of that. If you're illegally fur dodging and someone boots you on the track, then that would become entirely legal. I'll tell you, they had this concept in the Middle Ages of an outlaw, which is somebody who was neither
like Robin Hood,
complying with the law nor somebody who was protected by it. And you would simply say, well, OK, look, if you're in the process of mugging and somebody mounts a curb and runs you over. Now, OK, all of that sounds very extreme, but we have a police force that doesn't bother policing anymore. What it does do, and it is quite good at this, is after a crime takes place, criminally investigating those ones that they're interested
in. Which makes it actually worse. Because people won't intervene.
Don't wolf whistle, guys. You can fair evade, but if you wolf whistle...
That's a pre-crime, isn't it? Yeah, it's not even a crime. That's Orwellian.
What about Matt, because you are a political campaigner, what about my view on this, which is, once again, controversial, but my idea that the reason they want to round up wolf whistlers is so they can say it's not all migrants that commit these street gropings. They have a good coterie of British people they can blame as well. Exactly with Neil Basu. Look, I'm going to say this once again, I've said it before, National Action was sat in the Friar Penketh Wetherspoons in Warrington, getting drunk, talking about how much they'd like to stab Labour MPs. There was simply no evidence they'd done anything more than getting shedded, and they were done over for being a terrorist organisation. Now, clearly, they're unpleasant guys, but I think there's a big difference between going down the pub and talking about killing someone and actually attacking an RAF plane. But what Neil Basu and the others needed was a decent number of quote-unquote far-right terrorists so they could say, it's not just Islamic terrorism we're worried about. It is.
90% of the prevent list is Islamists. I mean, and also, you know, wolf whistling is a white ethnic characteristic, a white working class. So it's discrimination.
It's mad, isn't it? And I think you have a point in terms of they're just trying to round up non-migrants and trying to make a point. But I also think it's just because they're all woke and they're allowed to get away with this nonsense. You know, back 30 years ago, if an officer said, oh, let's go and catch wolf whistlers, the constable would say, get a grip, mate. Go and sort shoplifters out. Go and sort fare evaders out. But nowadays, the whole police force, the whole institution in most of these police forces is like, I'm more interested in guys wolf whistling or saying something on social media.
Also, let's just be clear. And Lois Perry said this to me, and I think she's right. The reality is that that it's always the ladies that nobody's going to wolf whistle who are complaining that it's sexist.
Yeah.
Wow, I wouldn't know. I'm gay.
No, that's true. Oh.
All right.
Well. No, oh, sorry, for balance, I don't believe that.
Oh,
is that all right?
I love the way the earpiece went.
Yeah.
For balance, I don't believe that. We're going to be back with an expert.
Was I convincing? Yeah.
Goodbye, Matt
Bye,
Stevens.
Matt.
We're going to be back in a minute with a lady from the
Women's nice, wasn't he, Matt?
Women's Safety Initiative,
Gorgeous.
who's going to talk to us all about wolf whistling. More next.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Okay, well, the segment is called Broken Britain. Undercover cops pose as sexy joggers to catch catcallers. Undercover police officers are posing as sexy joggers to crack down on catcallers. Surrey police have been criticised for wasting money on this game, which many are calling entrapment.
Run VT.
Women aren't friends out for a run. They're actually undercover police officers taking to the streets in Surrey as part of a new operation trying to stop people catcalling and harassing female runners. And police teams are ready to intervene the moment the officers are beeped at.
Well, I'm going to say one thing. There was a lady on the TV the other day, I forget which channel, so I don't want to pretend that I remember, but she was saying that she's been out jogging twice, and on both occasions, somebody has spattered her in the street. Now, spitting at somebody in the street because you morally object to what they're doing, that's not very British, isn't it? And in the interview, nobody said, what did the guy look like? That was not asked, and it was not offered. So I'm going to say this, I'm going to throw this out. We've got an expert coming up right now. I believe that the purpose of these honey trap joggers is very, very simply this: to round up some white guys in order to make it look like in the statistics that it's not just illegal migrants that grope women and spit at them in the street for jogging. Eloise Schultz is from the Women's Safety Initiative. Eloise, am I wrong?
Hi, I think there's definitely a real concern that there's other motives behind these initiatives, because if you look, the advert was based in Surrey. If you look at the Surrey crime statistics on the absolute most basic level, the most common crimes that they have are violent ones.
Right.
And this does absolutely nothing to combat that.
Yeah.
So it's just another example of how police don't take women's safety seriously. And it's another example of how they just don't serve the people.
It's virtue signalling, isn't it? It's just virtue. I mean, it's not even a crime. And they say, oh, well, it can lead to other things. There's no evidence that a wolf-whistling person might go on to rape someone. Have they shown any evidence? Because I don't think there is there? They make it up as they go along.
Absolutely. I think it's very concerning when people say that, oh, the words you've said might lead to crime, because the next step in that is the thoughts you think might lead to crime.
Yes.
And I don't know if you've read 1984, but
that was the manual that Keir Starmer, we were reading it at school going, never let this happen. Keir Starmer was reading it going, oh, this is how I'll do it.
Well, yeah, I'll tell you what, I'll tell you what this is. It's what the European Union's been calling shielding democracy. Anyway, look, let's get the basics here. Wolf whistling, catcalling, whatever you want to call it. Is it something that makes women feel intimidated, or is it just a bit of fun? Because look, I think that instinctively, I think it's something that people probably shouldn't do, simply because I imagine it would be quite intimidating to a woman. But what's your take on it? I'm not a woman, so I wouldn't know.
I have a terrible habit of not paying very much attention. I'm sure I've been wolf whistled at more times than I've noticed. Because it's not something that personally makes me feel unsafe. I can see why it would make women feel unsafe, and I don't think it's a nice thing to do, but sometimes people aren't nice, and that's not against the law.
But it doesn't really happen, doesn't it? In the 70s it used to happen. That was a sort of culture. All right, darling. Really, nowadays, the other builders, if no one did that, they'd look at him a bit cringy, wouldn't they, I think?
It is definitely a bit cringy.
Yeah,
it's maybe a bit embarrassing.
Yeah.
Especially if it happens, as you say, on a building site, or if someone's in a passing car, because there's absolutely nothing that they could be expecting.
Are we trying to look? I was trying to unpick these laws on sexual offences and whatever, trying to understand it, and basically it makes no delineation. But it says you can't touch somebody on the bum or whatever it is. It makes no delineation between what happens in an office at 3 in the afternoon and what happens in a nightclub at 2 in the morning, which I think is utterly bizarre. But is the general idea by the police that what will happen now is the only time you interact with somebody from the opposite sex will be via an app, where they have already clicked on your face to say you can talk to them. Because if I was 20 now, I'm not sure I could just walk up to a girl in the nightclub, because what are the rules? I mean,
you have to sign a contract and stuff like that.
Look, like if you walk up to a girl in the nightclub and try and, I don't know, I mean, I wasn't the greatest at pulling, but sort of shimmy up to them or whatever, then presumably you'll be done as a sex pest.
Yeah, that was a bit like that, yeah.
I think that's an interesting way of looking at it, because it does very much focus on young men who are, you know, not getting the best outcome from this. But I think a much, much worse situation is the victims of the grooming gangs, who the police should be spending their time on, and they aren't. I think maybe young men might have to put up with
Eloise,
it,
why don't I make this simple for you? I think the point you're making is repeating what I said, which is about quotas. Don't worry, it's not only Muslims that are doing this. That's what this is all about. But the concern is, number one, you're right, and it was a point I missed. Number one, the people that actually need the police's support are being ignored. But number two, we're also criminalising or putting or intimidating people who've done nothing illegal at all in order to say, well, we've stopped this number of people, we're investigating these people as well. And actually, all you've done is just attempted to criminalise legitimate behaviour in order to disguise the fact that large numbers of people are coming from the third world and behaving in a way that is appropriate in the third world but not appropriate in modern Britain.
That's right. I mean, mass immigration is a massive concern. It's something we really focus on at the Women's Safety Initiative. I mean, we've got several infographics that we do, and one of them is that 1 in 4 sex crimes are committed by foreign nationals, which obviously isn't the majority. But if you could prevent 25% of sex crimes, why wouldn't?
Well, I've given this example. It's the Philomena Kunk example. I don't know if you remember Philomena Kunk, Diane Morgan's fake documentary maker. It's supposed to be a spoof. And Philomena Kunk, you see this with the police and whatever, and indeed with people who support uncontrolled immigration. They give the statistic, 75%, the majority of sex crimes are not committed by ethnic minorities, not committed by illegal migrants. That's true. Philomena Kunk also gave a similar statistic, and to understand the stupidity of the statistic I've just given, listen to Philomena's version, because she says 40% of road traffic accidents are caused by drunk drivers. That means that 60% of drunk are not caused by drunk drivers. Therefore, it is safer to get in a car with a drunk driver, right? Which she says is a joke. The reality is that statistic of how many crimes are committed has to take into account the percentage of the population that are in a particular position. So if you say, well, only 25% of crimes of sex crime are committed by people who were born outside the UK, yes, that's fine, but only 10% of the public were born outside the UK.
But on that point, I mean, what would you like women decoys? Because I always think, they should have people walking around with their phones out, police, so when they get nicked, they can catch them, and they do that occasionally. But that would be a way of wiping these sort of things out. Wouldn't you like to see these women actually go to areas where there've been actual sexual assaults and arrest the real people? Is that what you'd like to see as a woman, actually arresting proper criminals, or criminals even?
Absolutely, that's right. I mean, I think exactly as you said, those statistics, it just goes to show that they're only doing this because it's more convenient to focus on white offenders and to bump up those numbers. I think they're very much under the thumb of certain gangs and certain communities. Community isn't even a word I like to use, because a community is a good thing.
I think we need
separate parallel community.
I think we need to be honest.
Yeah.
There are a group of people in the Muslim community who are hiding behind their religion in order to commit these crimes. They're, by the way, besmirching the good name of every other Muslim in the country. But that's what's happening. And unbelievably, the police, the Labour Party, the Home Office, all of these people are backing the bad guys rather than backing the good guys.
Yeah, that's true. And freedom of religion should not override the law. And in those problem areas, as you say, undercover officers would be much better serving the people, and especially serving women, if they were to run even similar operations, even if these jogging or walking down the street, even if those operations were to be carried out in areas where it's actually a problem, that would be a lot more helpful.
Well, what an interesting point you make, because actually I suspect what they're not going to do is send them into areas where they know they will round up people who were born outside the UK.
And would actually commit a crime like groping rather than just wolf whistling.
Well, it was like I asked the Metropolitan Police under the Freedom of Information Act why it was that homophobic hate crime was declining across London but increasing in Tower Hamlets. I asked them specifically, what was it about the East End of London that they thought was the reason? And instead of saying uncontrolled immigration, they said they didn't know the answer, which of course they do. Right.
Yeah, I think it's very hard to believe the police when they say they don't know what's causing something, especially when the answer is staring us right in the face.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll tell you what we're going to do. Why don't we go to a break? But Eloise, I know we've talked about these phantom joggers and whatever, but I'd love to just chat to you a little bit more after the break about the Women's Safety Initiative and the work that you're doing at the moment, because one thing that we love on this show is the Women's Safety Initiative. For those of you unfamiliar, it is a group of young women, very tough young women, who have got together and they've said that they are not willing to accept the stupidity of modern society that says that women's safety is not being put at risk as a result of uncontrolled immigration. It is being put at risk by uncontrolled immigration, and they're taking steps to do something about it. So we're going to be listening to that straight after this. Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk. Okay, yeah, as we said, this is the Late Show with Andre Walker and Asher Gould, and Eloise Schultz is here from the Women's Safety Initiative. Look, Asher and I, as you know, are big supporters of the Women's Safety Initiative, and we try to give as much airtime as we can to your organisation. Please do tell us what you've been up to. What's the latest update that our listeners and viewers need to know about?
So one thing that we're working really hard on at the moment is a charity concert. It's called Stand in Strength. And basically all proceeds from the concert are going to go to victims of sexual abuse in terms of providing therapy for them. We think it's really important that our organisation actually does something to help these women. And at the end of the day, it shouldn't be our role. It should be the police, and it should be the government that are providing these things, but they're not. And so until we can make those changes and convince them to provide for women and protect women, we have to step in and take as much action as we can.
Can I ask you a question? Can you contrast for me what I mean. If I look at an illegal migrant coming to the UK, they will get what, a 4-star hotel. They'll get dental treatment on a weekly basis. They'll get access to medical care. They won't have to wait for a GP's appointment. They'll get a free iPhone and
or Samsung. They get the choice.
Yeah, they'll get 3 meals a day cooked for them.
Yeah.
Can you compare that to the victims of illegal migrants? What do they get? Do they get the dental care, health care, phones?
A lifetime of trauma normally, isn't it?
Or do they get 4-star hotels? What is their package?
You're spot on, to be honest. I mean, that once those migrants that are arrested and go to prison for those crimes, once they have those benefits taken away, where does the money go? To the next migrant who arrives on the shores. It doesn't go to the victims in any way, shape, or form. You should never trust a government official who tells you there isn't enough money for something, because even on a local level, I've seen those records. The money exists. It's just in the
look at COVID. They found all the money. They can always find the money when they need it.
So let's just do it specifically. Why don't you give me yes or no? So, okay. So an illegal migrant to the UK gets a free phone, iPhone or Samsung. Does a woman who's been a victim of sex crime get that?
Of course not.
Okay, so an illegal migrant to the UK gets a free dental care with a dentist visiting their building every single week. Does a victim of sex crime get that?
They don't even get therapy. They don't get access to the medical care that they need.
So they don't get the 4-star hotel, nor the 3 meals a day. I'm being facetious, but I'm doing it deliberately. So effectively what's happening is our children are being sexually assaulted by these people. They get a free hotel. The children get A, nothing, B, less than nothing, because they get told they're lying sluts, bluntly, and specifically that. And
by the way, we're bringing in more every day.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, it's hard to comprehend exactly why this is being done, but a lot of the people that are refusing to stop it, it does come out of a lack of respect for women, in part.
And cowardice, isn't it? Their own cowardice. I don't think it's a sort of ideological. I think they're cowards and don't know what to do. I don't know if they can, what they could do.
Yeah, but I mean, in the past, I think there are a lot of men who might have been seen as non-confrontational and might be very, very passive among other men. But as soon as a woman is in danger or feeling uncomfortable, it will bring out that side in them and they will stand up for those women. And I think that just innate respect has been lost. Yeah.
I genuinely believe there is a war on women. Now, look, we've debated on this show plenty of times as to whether things are deliberate or whether they're happening by chance, but nonetheless, they're happening. We've got women's sports invaded. We've got this ludicrous situation they had in Scotland where they said 50% of the board of every company needs to be a woman, where the definition of woman is anyone who goes, I'm a woman, which would have begged the obvious thing to do. I mean, I said if we need more women on this channel, me and Ash will just say we're women, and that would increase the number according to the way the left looks at it. So you've got the trans sports, you've got the women in business, you've got a diminution of the role of the family, which I think forces more women into the workplace than wish to be there. Then you've got the sexual abuse. Then you've got being forced into in a lot of areas where the hijabs and all that sort of thing. I worry.
And general loss of freedom, because women are scared, rightfully so, to go out even in the day now.
Is there a war on women?
Well, if there is a war on women, I wouldn't like to say that it's a war of men against women. I would never make that claim. I think there are a lot of men who do want to protect women. I don't think that the establishment has enough of them. But yeah, you're right. I mean, a lot of us are scared to go out at night, in the daytime. There's a migrant hotel very near my sister's gym, and in full daylight, I was afraid to leave my car there because I knew the statistics. It's not a case of who these people are. It's a case of we don't know who they are.
Oh no, we do. No,
kind of
no, Eloise,
recognise
that's unfair. We know that they're definitely safe. We don't know. No, it's true to say we don't know who they are, but we only know one thing about them: they're definitely not a danger to society, or rather, that's what Keir Starmer says.
Well, they're
anyway.
gambling on it and
No,
losing.
no, Ash, I'm sorry. The government has told us, the police have told us, the Home Office have told us that even though we don't know anything about these people, the one thing we do know is they're entirely safe to be in our community. That's the one thing we definitely
that's
do
very
know.
reassuring because they would never lie to us.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a complete and total joke. Okay, well, look, so when is your concert going to take place, Eloise?
So that's on the 31st of August.
How do you get tickets? What's your website? And is there other advice for women on there, like how to travel safely and things like that? Or do you have a site like that?
Yes, so the Women's Safety... Apologies.
Yeah.
The Women's Safety Initiative website has all of the information.
So Google
I've
Women's
just got
Safety
my
Initiative.
calendar.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you go on the Women's Safety Initiative website, you can get tickets to the concert, and you can see the information about all the different operations that we are running at the moment. I've just glanced at my calendar as I said the 31st, and I realised that that's not the Saturday, it is the 30th. I do apologise.
So you'll miss it if you go on the 31st. So go on the 30th, yeah.
Yeah,
Who's the
very much
band
so.
again? It was quite interesting who the band is. It was some TV presenter or something, isn't it?
Yeah, I think we've got a few different people coming in, but it's all on the
It's all
Women's
on your
Safety
website.
Initiative website. Yeah.
Brilliant.
You tend to deliver a lot via X or formerly Twitter, don't you? Okay, well, you know what? We're going to try and pop along on the 30th of August. What I will do is I will find the website and I'll put it on my Twitter and Ash will retweet it
we'll do
as
that,
well,
yeah.
so that people can do that. We'll do that during the break, so give us 5 minutes. But I just want to say to you, more than anything else, that you know, we do appreciate everything that you're doing. I appreciate that you've been accused of being far right. I appreciate that you've been attacked. I appreciate that that you know, you are a thorn in the side of the police and you're a thorn in the side of the Home Office and indeed the government. But the reason for that is that they are bad people who are deliberately trying to allow sex crime to take place. Because they're sacrificing your safety on the altar of political correctness. So I thank you for everything that you do, and please do continue doing it. To everybody else, we'll be back in a moment. Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk. Right, I've got a great little story for you.
By the way, call us 0344 499 1000 and we'll call you back and get you on. Yeah, go on, what's your story?
Right, so yesterday I went to Tesco, Tesco Express in, Tesco Superstore in Slough.
Well, hold on, what, the biggest store, the Tesco's Extra?
The extra one, the massive one.
Wow, that's a real experience.
So I went in, I got that, you know, that little gun thing where you do your own scanning. What's it called?
I've always wanted to do that.
Right, so
that's real
let
power,
me tell you what happened.
Yeah.
I got to Tesco's Extra.
It's called a scanner.
Okay, I went to Tesco Extra and I realised you needed £1 for the shopping trolley. I didn't have £1 for the shopping trolley. So what I did was I went round the car park and tried to find a shopping trolley.
Yeah,
right?
A rogue one.
And I got one from the Food Warehouse, which is a division of Iceland. Someone had just left it there.
Back of the net.
It had obviously
Free trolley.
It had obviously been stolen from Iceland and left in the Tesco Express car park.
Interesting.
So I went in. I got that gun thing where you have to zap all the labels, right? The scanner. Yeah. And then I was going to pay at the end. Now, unfortunately, my trolley didn't have a holster, but never mind. I went round. I got all my shopping. £125 worth because I've just moved into a new place.
That's about 3 packets of biscuits these days.
Yeah. So I moved into a new place, so I needed all the stuff. You know, the stuff you keep
your
in
basics, your staples, your mushy peas, beans, saveloys, rice, sugar, salt, cumin.
No, your one-off things.
Spice rack.
Your one-off things
Mustard.
like spice racks and things like that. Your one-off things where it ends up costing you a fortune once, but they last for ages. Yeah. Okay. So I didn't know this, and apparently it's only true of Tesco Extra in Slough. I got to the end of my shop, and they've got a weighbridge, right? Well, what they do is they know what your shopping's meant to weigh, and you weigh it. Yeah. So what you had to do was you had to zap the QR code on the trolley. Right.
What are you talking about, Willis?
I said to them, I can't zap the trolley because it's not your trolley, it's stolen from Iceland. They said, you've stolen the trolley. I said, I've not stolen the trolley, I found it in the car park. They said, you found somebody else's trolley in the car park. I went, yeah, and they went, right, well, what we'll do is, and then they went, oh, no, you can't do that because we haven't weighed the trolley, so we don't know what the weight of the trolley is. So when you push the trolley with the shopping on, we know what the shopping's meant to weigh, but we don't know what the trolley weighs. Right? So then I thought, well, this is a disgrace. So all the tills were closed, and it was self-service by that time of night. But they took me to a proper till, right? This very nice lady, and everybody else was trying to get in the queue behind me. She went, "No, you can't. We're helping this one customer. Can't do it. Anyway, she zapped through all my stuff, put it all in the bag, and I started using Apple Pay, right? It declined the Apple Pay 6 times.
Yeah, embarrassing. That's always when it fits in your local shop.
So first of all, I'd had to admit to stealing the trolley. Then I couldn't get my shopping out the shop because of the weighbridge. Then I had it all put through and my card didn't work. And you know what I did? I just had to go, I'm very sorry, I'm going home now. I was in there for about 3 hours.
So it was like a rehearsal.
I left with nothing.
At least you could go back and you knew where everything was and you didn't have to really go.
What my advice to you, and this should be advice that just goes anyway, if you go to Tesco's with a stolen shopping trolley, don't use that gun thing. I mean...
Do you want to hear? I've got a shopping trolley story. I was in Waitrose and I went out with it and the wheels locked. They've got actual technology now and it just locks the wheels, man. So that's the end of my trolley story. I'll tell you,
Sainsbury's in Salford, when they first opened, they had shopping trolleys for kids. They said they opened at 8 in the morning, and by the time they closed at 10 at night, on the first day, every child's shopping trolley had been half-inched. The lot, they'd all gone. Anyway, let's go to Anne in Epsom. Anne, you're on talk.
Hello, Ash. Hello, Andre. Nice to speak to you.
I am.
What it is, I was thinking, like years ago, I mean, I'm older now, but years ago, if someone wolf whistled you, you'd...
Oh, there's one now.
That's my cat.
Arrest that cat. Give that cat a warning. Give that...
That was a cat call.
You've got a sexist cat.
It was a cat call. Phone Surrey Police. Get them.
Cat call.
Get Surrey Police on the line. Come on, quick.
But it's a 70s cat. That was all. That's how you used to do it in the 70s. It doesn't really go on now.
Can I just ask you a question, Anne?
Did you enjoy that, Anne, from the cat?
Anne, did you just pinch the cat or something?
Yeah, she always does.
Did it make you feel a bit prouder? And when the cat gets just...
Yeah. I
can't believe, right, so we're going to do, obviously, a bloopers video for the year. Had you used the phrase cat call, it would have made that video infinitely better, rather than wolf whistle.
Yeah, I think if years ago, you used to feel quite flattered. You used to think, oh, they're wolf whistling.
Yeah, and you sort of giggle like Barbara Windsor and walk off, wouldn't you? Go, no, cheeky, and you'd walk off.
That's it, like a silly girl lemon.
Yeah.
But now, why they're doing this is to take the thing off the migrants who stand outside the station when the kids come out of school, the young girls. And as I've walked past before, they're calling the young girls, come over here. And the girls are more or less running where they're so scared.
Yeah, I was speaking to a girl today and she says, I can't walk down these certain streets because blokes come out of their shops and go, ooh, like this, and that is a proper, they're... pushing it. It's not like the wolf whistle thing. It's a bit.
But I bet you a tenner. I bet you're not allowed to gamble on her, but I pretend to bet you a tenner. Surrey police will not find any illegal migrants doing it. They'll only find.
Well, they don't do it. It's a white working class thing. It's like St James. They wouldn't find other cultures doing it.
They won't catch some pervy illegal migrant leching over a teenager. They won't find that.
They're not looking for them.
They're not looking for that.
No.
All they get in Surrey is flashers. If you go through the park, they get flashers.
Yeah, but why do you go through there every day? I mean, you must stop.
I will say one thing in defence of that.
Well, that leads on to sexual offending. That is a serious thing. Yeah.
As Asher said earlier, there is no link between wolf whistling, catcalling, and sex crime at all.
But exposing yourself, there is links.
Well, the problem is, and there's also this terminology as well, isn't there? Where there's sexual abuse and sexual harassment, right? You have to understand, sexual harassment is making an inappropriate comment, right? So you might say, oh, that girl from the next desk's quite hot. That's apparently sexual harassment. But when they put in sexually inappropriate behaviour, they try and group it all in together, don't they? I mean, at the end of the day, commenting on somebody's breasts may be off colour, but it is not the same as groping a teenager.
That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to link wolf whistling in with exposing yourself, and they're different. There's no evidence for the wolf, but there is evidence for exposing yourself. I mean, that policeman, that scumbag, rapist, murderer, he started by driving to McDonald's with no pants on, and flashing does often lead to much more serious things.
No,
but they try and link them up.
And very quickly, tell me about these migrants and the behaviour that you've personally experienced with them harassing teenage girls.
Yeah, I've walked kind of down the High Street and there's a station there, and there's always about 8 of them who are standing there all day with drink because they don't work, obviously, only Uber, not Uber, Just Eat. Anyway, they're there, and the young girls are coming out of the school or whatever, and they're walking along, they're only about 13, bless them, and or even younger, and then there's the blokes, they're always shouting, they're like, hey, come here.
Well, that's where undercover police should be. I mean, they obviously know about it, they must have been reported, but they'll ignore that. And that's unbelievable. Well, not unbelievable, that's a thing.
Honest to God, and if that's being right-wing, good. I'll be right-wing all the way.
They call everyone right-wing. It's the old communist playbook, isn't it? Putin did it to invade Ukraine, all their Nazis. And that's what they're doing now in this country. Anyone who disagrees with the government, oh, you're a Nazi, you're far right. That's how they shut it down.
There's the soap dodger lefties that are...
Soap dodger?
Well, they are, aren't they?
They are. I don't think there's a battle between them, to be honest.
Yeah, their armpits organic.
They're a bit
the lefties, isn't it?
They're a bit smelly.
They are stink bombs. Well, Anne, I'll tell you what I'd love you to do. I'd love you to keep... By the way, when you're saying that this migrant thing's happening, is it happening in Epsom? Because you say you're phoning from Epsom.
Yeah, it's Epsom. It's all over Surrey, to be honest.
And that used to be quite a posh, nice place.
So just to be clear, you are in Surrey Constabulary area, and you're saying that there is horrific taunting of teenage girls by migrants.
Schoolgirls.
Surrey police aren't worried about that. They're more worried about a bilge who's had a couple of beers.
Yeah. All they're worried about is people, if there's a couple of blokes on scaffolding, and we've had a load up here at scaffolders, and they don't whistle.
They don't do it anymore like the 70s. It's all made up bunkum, isn't it?
It's all rubbish.
You cringe now if your building mate did that. They're quite sophisticated now, builders.
OK, Anne, thank you so much. Rocky, we haven't got to you, but we'll get to you in the next hour. If you want to get in touch, it's 0344 499 1000 at Virtual Ash.
At Andre JP Walker.
Now, I want to just remind you about the breakfast show. Make sure you tune in tomorrow morning and indeed every day with Mike Graham. And we're going to be doing the press preview just in a couple of moments. And we've got Toff Mir from the British Bangladeshi Caterers back in 8 Mo.
Dog meat found in...
across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
This is the press preview on Talk with Andre Walker, Asher Gould and Toff Meir. Before we get into the stories of the day, we're going to go straight to Rocky in Weymouth. Rocky, you're on Talk.
Hello, Andre. Hello, Ash. Thank you for having me on.
Hi, Rocky.
Adrian.
So what's up, Rocky?
I just wanted to tell you, I recently got myself into an altercation with a migrant harassing a girl I knew. Well, there's this girl I know that every night she was walking home, she was getting followed up the road. Yeah. Well, so I walked her home one night, and the guy came up to us, started harassing her. I told him where to go, and so ended up accusing me of racially abusing him when he was sexually harassing her.
And did you get what? Did he call the police on you?
No, what happened is I ended up thumping him because he got all funny with it. And
what was it, a reasonable force? I mean, did he come to attack you? Right, okay.
Oh yeah.
We don't encourage violence, but if you were defending yourself when it was legally, it was.
Well, yeah, I was thinking of this girl because I tried to conduct myself as a gentleman. I'm a good guy, and this is a girl.
Did you call the police after? Because I mean, if there's an altercation, probably you should have called the authorities.
We have called the police because we know the guy. We pointed him out, so hopefully the police do something.
I've got to be honest with you. I mean, I worry very greatly about this. People talk about religion, this, racial, that, whatever. It's all nonsense. The problem is that there are too many people coming from the third world. Right, if you're from Somalia, if you're from Eritrea, if you're from Afghanistan, you don't know the standards of behaviour in the UK. And what we keep doing is we keep saying to ourselves, oh, cultural enrichment. Well, hang on a second. Part of cultural enrichment might be, improvements, but part of them will be a diminution in our standards. Bluntly, somebody from Afghanistan does not know how to behave in Britain. Nobody tells them. And then we bring in large numbers of them. There's the problem.
They're 20 times more likely to commit a sexual offence.
Anyway, Rocky, well done on that. I mean, you've got to be careful about intervening yourself, but I have to say to you, that is the worry.
He's probably got a good punch as well, being Rocky. I mean,
well, I'll be honest,
always be legal.
I saw a couple of young girls rob from the WH Smiths in Reading, and honestly, the reason I didn't do anything, honestly, I thought what would have happened, as sure as I've got a hole in my behind, what would have happened is they'd have said I groped them and the police would have grabbed me. So I thought I'm not doing it. And if they'd have known I was on the TV, it would have been even worse. Unfortunately, best to leave them to it. Anyway, let's now have a chat with our guest co-host this evening, who is Toff Meir. I made you Scottish. Toff Meir. He is the president of the British Bangladeshi Caterers Association.
The BBC.
Before we do anything on the stories of the day, look, we're really worried about the Indian restaurant business. How worried should we be?
I think it's very worrying. There's so many factors. So I was checking our stats. The traditional Indian curry houses around the country. If you look back in the 80s and the 90s, if you even go to a small village, you'll find one thing was the bookies, and the other is the Chinese and the Indian.
And they were always good as well.
They were always great.
Always good ones,
and they were value for money, and it was
£3 or £4 for a main meal. It was back then.
Yeah, and it was a community hub. You see, it was serving the community up until now. I believe so, but it is declining, and there is many factors.
Isn't it mainly costs? I mean, your energy costs have gone up.
Utilities gone up.
Rice, all the ingredients have gone up, doubled, and whatever. It's all. I've seen chip shops are suffering now.
And our cooking, what people love,
the Bangladeshi cooks,
it's a complex thing.
Yes,
it's just not. Sorry, forgive me, a steak, pick it up, grill it, serve it, or a kebab, Although we
people don't understand that in a kitchen. Sorry, go on.
Here's another big one. Statistically, out of whole Europe, food industry in UK, we pay the most VAT. It's 20%. It's 10% in the top 5 countries in the world. France. Germany, economics I'm talking about, Spain and all that. We're paying double. And the government don't seems to understand.
Are you losing out to the online Deliveroos and Uber Eats as well?
100%.
Because
There
I
is
see Theo Paphitas talking about this, because they can't compete with Amazon. They've got to pay big rates. Amazon have got a big warehouse on the motorway.
Exactly.
And they haven't modernised it, you know, for the modern world.
Yeah. And here's another thing, really. You know, up and down the country, the small businesses is the biggest employer.
Yes.
You talk about the Amazon, they're doing it with robot.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, up and down the country. And more importantly, if this recently, I can give you a fact here. Recently, the government imposed the employers' NI and the minimum wage increase. It hasn't affected the big businesses.
No.
It has affected the 98% of the small businesses.
But isn't that why they do it? They're working for the big corporates. They make regulation unbelievable.
They must probably donate it to their party as well.
The big, that's how they do it. The big companies have got an office that can deal with all the regulation. You get loads of red tape. You go, I can't be bothered with this. You give up, and it plays into the big corporates' hands.
And we give so much to the government's number 11 coffin.
Yeah.
Up and down the small businesses are a rock bed.
The biggest contributor to the economy.
So Asher and I go to the British Bangladesh Caterers Association annual bash, which we enjoy going to.
Yeah,
but one of the points that
good night that was.
One of the points that you consistently make is about this idea of immigration and Indian chefs, and this idea that, so first of all, what very few people know is that an Indian chef, a head chef in an Indian restaurant, is a very, very senior official.
I know, it's
Somebody who'll be trained for years.
Yeah.
Your idea is this, that they will come over, they'll have a work visa, but they'll have to go back to their country of origin after the work visa's finished, can't bring over family, no access to benefits, and you'll pay for the medical insurance. And so we've got this stupid thing where you can't get your chefs into the country because the government's going, well, we don't want them to bring their family, but neither do the chefs.
Yeah, neither the employers. That's not a factor, really. We're happy. We want a skilled worker to come and do the job. Whether he brings his family or he doesn't, it's not relevant to us.
Yeah.
And there are skilled workers in Asia ready to come, but the system has been, now, as we speak, it's been totally wiped out.
Yes.
Even the MAC, the Migration Advisory Committee, has decided the chef's occupation is no longer a shortage occupation. So it's out of the question. And the small businesses cannot afford £40,000 wages. It's very hard.
Just to explain
and
to
more
you.
important, let me tell you, there is more perks to it as well. Our Asian restaurants provide accommodation, certain types of meal, so it does compensate them. They don't necessarily have to earn 40,000 to earn a living.
So
these are the factors that they don't understand.
So just to be clear, the typical person. So obviously, if I offer a migrant a passport, he'll take it, right? You'd be a fool not to. But what these people actually do is you will recruit them in Asia. They will come over. They will live above the shop. They'll send their money back, save up, and they'll do a tour of duty of however many years, but then return to Bangladesh. Now that would be simple, except for the fact that the law at the moment says that they can bring their family and get British citizenship, which of course complicates the whole thing.
Absolutely, and there's no need for it. All we want is skilled workers coming in, doing their job, and go about. And when the time expires, thank you very much.
Yeah.
And most people, but you see, I think here's the thing, really, Andre and Ash, the government creates all this problem.
Yes.
Make these people vulnerable, and they go illegal, and then they jump into the whatever, whether it's from a market or a high street or a restaurant, who some of them, I'm not going to deny that they do illegally employ.
Yes.
And they make money.
Yes.
It's £50,000 if you can catch one illegal in a small premises like me. You know, and they find themselves vulnerable. For me, have a straight policy, easy policy, simple policy, keep their passport. You know, if they want to go to France for a couple of days, give it to them, let them have it, let us have it back. and they will sign it.
But I'll tell you what I think. Where you and the British Bangladeshi Caterers Association is right. Is what you're basically describing is it's not quite, but very similar to the system in Switzerland, which is you can come over to work, but you are not becoming a Swiss citizen automatically.
Yes.
It's just not going to happen. And then of course, the stupidity of all of this, whether the person's skilled, whether they're not skilled, whether they've got family, whether becomes irrelevant if they're not entitled to a passport.
Yeah, but again, I'll repeat, the government or the MAC creates all this problem.
Yeah.
Why give their family to come? Why is the incentive? I don't understand it, really. And then...
Why do you think they do it, then?
To make money, I think.
But they're going to lose out in the long run. They'll lose out, won't they?
Of course they do.
Because the restaurants are shutting.
But the position that Toff's in is utterly ludicrous, because what the government is saying is they're saying, right, OK, anyone who comes to Britain on a work visa is entitled ultimately to bring their family and get a passport in the end. Then they turn to Toff and go, oh, we don't like the fact that your chef's entitled to bring his family and get a passport. And Toff sat there going, yes, but we didn't give them that entitlement.
We don't need to. You know, you're giving them, and then you're chasing them, you're making them vulnerable, they're running around, and then you catch out of 101. And I don't understand it.
So when I first started going to Indian restaurants in Windsor, there was a place where obviously you know Shamsul Saleem, but basically he almost had a club table like in the old school where all the locals used to sit together if they were on their own.
Curry and a beer.
Yeah, absolutely. Is the future now that it's just going to be order at home and it comes from a factory?
Well, you know, post-pandemic, it has changed a lot, and the aggregators are cashing in, you know, the likes of big boys like Just Do It Delivery and all that.
Yeah.
You see, the small businesses are getting squeezed, and my problem is we don't have a voice.
No.
Collectively. And why? And again, yet I'll repeat to the public here, we up and down the country, small businesses are the biggest employers.
Yes.
And they contribute the most.
Well, most of the economy is small businesses.
Yes.
Yeah.
However, we are getting squeezed left, right and centre.
Because of the corporates.
Yes.
Yeah.
But here's what worries me.
Lobbying by the
Let me talk about you getting squeezed.
We don't have a voice.
No.
Why does the restaurant has to pay 20% VAT, whereas counterparts all over Europe are paying 7%, 10%, 12%.
And the delivery
13%.
company's probably nothing because they've got good accountants.
Nobody cares about the fact that the facilities, the infrastructure that people use, like the pub and the Indian restaurants, closing. But here's something else that's stupid that we spotted in the press. Now, first of all, you're not going to comment on on a Vietnamese restaurant, but a Vietnamese restaurant gets caught with dog meat in the fridge. Now let me just make this point to you.
It's a delicacy in
Well,
Vietnam.
whatever it is or whatever it's not, here is the bit that you do know about. It had received a 4.6 food rating. So how on earth can we trust the food rating if somebody who's serving dog has just passed?
That's ridiculous, isn't it, really?
What is the point of the food ratings if they get...
That restaurant, don't know that they're in UK.
I never go to a restaurant with a 4 rating because I think, well, although it's 1 under, why have they got
Mine's
a 4?
5 all the time.
But I've just found this. Vietnamese, the sacred power of dogs makes dog meat a special dish, especially on bad events. You have dog.
Korean, they have.
Maybe the Vietnamese. It's for undercount or other Vietnam. We've got a celebration. We've got a bit of dog.
It's illegal here.
It's illegal, though. Don't do it.
Illegal.
Don't stop it.
But my point is, look.
It's a criminal offence.
Whatever they were doing in this Vietnamese restaurant, the reality is they've got 4.6 in their health rating, despite the fact they've got dogs in the fridge.
Yeah.
That is something that we've got to ask serious questions
I've
about.
got a story here, right? A Vietnamese restaurant in London is shut down after inspectors allegedly found dog meat in the freezer. It was labelled goat wrapped in leaves. But when they sent it for analysis, it came back as dog meat, a court heard. They also reported mice droppings and live and dead cockroaches at Pho Na restaurants in Old Kent Road, Southwark. Vuong Quoc Nguyen, the 47, the Vietnamese owner of the restaurant, denied multiple food safety and hygiene offences when he appeared at court. Anyway. The defendant had no idea the dog, his solicitor said, the goat was dog meat and said it was supplied to him by somebody else. So,
No, I mean, this is, as a restaurateur, I myself, I take it, you know, the most important thing is everyone's safety.
Safety, yeah.
And that's part of hygiene, really.
Of course, yeah.
You're serving someone else, a customer is coming, spending hard-earned money to have a great time, or having a takeaway to enjoy their food. Misleading things like this is unacceptable.
Is it true? Can I ask you a question,
and we
though?
condemn that. Utterly disgusting.
Yeah, of course it's true.
And anybody who has this idea must stop, sent to jail.
Absolutely. Okay, I want to ask you a question. Is it true you can tell how clean a kitchen is based on going to the toilet?
Yes, it's quite true.
Okay, that's what we want to know.
But you shouldn't have the kitchen in the toilet.
No, most people do that. Most people go. Most people go. If I'm going to a restaurant for the first time, have a look at the toilet because if you don't clean your toilet, you ain't going to clean the kitchen.
That's a good point. Yeah,
it adds up.
Okay, this is the press preview with Andre Walker, Asher Gould, and Toff Meir, and we're going to be back just in a moment.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Okay, this is a press preview with Andre Walker, Asher Gould, and Toff Meir. Toff is the president of the British Bangladeshi Caterers Association, and I have to say, when he heard that story about poor food hygiene from the Vietnamese restaurants on the Old Cape Road, he virtually had to be sedated during the break. Didn't he? He was really going for it. It's fair to say that
it's horrible.
People who've got passion in food are so important in this country. Yeah. But anyway, we are going to go to the front page. Okay, what have you spotted, Asher?
Trump eyes economic incentives for Putin. That's on the Times. US President highlights oil and gas before talks. President Trump raised the possibility of offering Putin economic incentives to end the war in Ukraine after praising Russia's massive oil and gas reserves before their summit in Alaska. He keeps changing sides, doesn't he? And I think he's offering basically Ukrainian rare earth minerals, isn't he, and stuff like that. He just offers anything, doesn't ask anyone.
Do you know the big problem with rare earth minerals, Toff? They're not rare. It's just mining them is so bad for the environment that nobody wants to do it.
I find it absurd at some time of Trump's, swing, if you like me saying. And I back of my mind, I think there's a cartel business going on.
Oh, yeah.
1 minute he'll do something, the stock market goes like this, right? And the next few days later, it goes up.
Yeah, you don't know what he's going to do next.
Who's making money?
There's no doubt.
What is going on?
Yeah, someone is making money, aren't they?
And there are silly decisions that a 5-year-old won't make. You tax someone 300%, then the next minute you come and say, "Oh, we're extending it for another 6 months." What is this?
But it's sort of working what Trump's doing, isn't it? I
mean,
mean,
for his country, most probably, not for the whole world.
But he's for his own country. But in the whole world, it is actually pushing people away from this woke, the Overton window.
But Toff makes a fair point, because we have seen scandals in British politics where people are gambling on. I mean, if
cricket even.
Well, yeah, that's right. Where people are illegally gambling. I mean, if somebody stood up and said, the British economy is going to tank or whatever, and they're a government minister, then there are cartels behind this who would behave in that way. There's
exactly.
No doubt.
Supporting
I mean, you have your feet in two worlds, don't you? One in Bangladesh and one in the UK. What is the feeling in terms of how safe the world is? Because most people I speak to are depressed and just think World War III is round the corner.
Well, some people think that, but I don't think it will happen. Really.
Or civil war. It's either World War III, or World War, or a civil war.
I don't think so, really.
Let's hope
These
not.
politicians, I think, they're devils. They play devil's advocate. They want to make you fear. They want to, keep you in suspense. And we've heard for a Third World War for how long? 40 years? From the day of Russian...
the Soviet Union. Gorbachev. Sorry, stop everyone. When Toff couldn't think of the name Mikhail Gorbachev, he pointed at his head wildly. It's the one. It's not my mum always said.
Let's hope it never happens. But, we have some mad politician around the world, and you never know. I mean, look, we should be thinking about VJ. Those are the real heroes. The whole Asia could have been gone, wiped out, had it been maybe another 50 days. That's what I read somewhere. So these are our heroes. Second World War, they were our hero. But look, we're in a modern world. It's a press of a button. We can't have a mad politicians.
No.
Let's have a better, safer world.
Well, what about this?
Yes, it's right. Everybody should think about their own country. But at the same time, around the world, we are all human.
But if you think about it, so if you
have to take care of our own pockets, own tummy first, own health. Fine.
But that's not what our government do.
But if you look at, let's take, just because you happen to be here, let's take Bangladesh as an example, right? So brilliant. We import a large number of textiles from Bangladesh. I think textile exports to the UK are probably Bangladesh's biggest export. And a lot of you, when you go into Primark, when you go into Next, it will be from Bangladesh, Marks and Spencer's, all that sort of thing. So that's fine. But what's happening with, say, China in the United States of America is we buy all this stuff, DJI drones and all this sort of stuff, cameras, phones, all this, and we bring them to this country with very low tariffs. And then the Chinese put massive tariffs on our stuff, so we can't export in the way we used to. Now, to be fair, Bangladesh is not a particular villain on this, but surely we've got to do something about China.
Bangladesh is a very poor country. Of course, a lot of countries, the big boys, they're getting the value for money here. Look, if you produced a shirt here, it would cost you most probably 30 quid.
You can't compete.
Because you're paying £14.50 minimum wage to start with. And the rent, the utility, everything is expensive. So if Bangladesh produces for £2, it is benefiting us. The poor countries are benefiting as well as us. So we're, in a kind of way, they're providing a service.
Yeah, they are.
In the nicest possible way.
We can't manufacture now with our energy prices. I don't even know why people
Bangladesh is the second biggest exporter of garments around the world.
Yes.
And America and Britain and Europe buys a lot of stuff. Really.
But that's partly the reason.
But sadly, the politicians up there are devils. They're corrupt. They're horrible.
Well, sorry. Asian politicians corrupt off. I don't believe.
I remember when they were
lying.
remaking Yes Minister and Yes Prime Minister in India, and they said, "Oh no, it's not corrupt enough. We need to make it more."
We're going to find another word for corruption.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's no word.
But talking about corruption, look, I spotted this on the front page of the Times, and I think there's got to be some fairness here. 4.1 million. People voted for reform at the last election, and they've got no seats in the House of Lords. Now, if you think about it, what was it? Nick Clegg got 250 Liberal Democrat members of the House of Lords. It's about time we got some reform peers. What do you think?
Why not? I always love some new parties coming in, giving their different dimension. It's healthy competition. We don't want one party or two party state, do we really?
No.
Because not everybody's getting heard.
Well, they're not.
And like I said before, shall I say again? Cartel is everywhere around the world. Some people do it, discreetly. Some people do it straightforward. And big boys are the big players. They're the movers and shakers.
Is it the WEF, basically, it's being driven by? They meet in Davos. I mean, Starmer said Davos over Westminster.
Yeah. That's right.
That's what they care about.
But when you're talking about actually bringing in new parties and shaking the system, Toff starts this show talking about the fact that the odds are stacked against him in the Indian restaurant business. If I sit there and I talk about politics, I think to myself, well, hang on a second, what are we doing to save the pub? What are we doing to save the community centre? What are we doing to save the Scouts? What are we doing to save the Indian restaurant? Because all of those things that are part of our country are starting to disappear. And for me, reform, Nigel Farage seems to be standing up for those things. I mean, he likes to curry himself, doesn't he?
If he is, I'm supporting him.
Well, I mean, you know, the Green Party only have 4 MPs. They've got 2 peers, and the DUP have got 5 MPs. They've got 6 members of the upper chamber, so they should have.
I think Nigel has shaken so many things. If you check his success story and failures as well, he will come up and he will give a run for their money, whether it's conservative.
He does seem to be successful when he has his own banking problem, Brexit. He's the most influential politician.
Yeah. Can I make a point to you? Let me list these people: Lord Elliot, Lord MP, Reg MP, and Lord Rogan. They are the three Ulster Unionist peers, and the Ulster Unionist Party has no MPs.
Oh, there you are.
None at all.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Sad.
Oh, by the way, there are also a further 5 members of the House of Lords who are members of the Ulster Unionist Party. But anyway, there we go.
So
Daily Mirror, VJ Day, 80 years on, and here's the heroes. And I've got a lovely picture, actually, of them old now and how they were when they were young heroes. And they faced untold horrors, thousands of miles from home, and they are all the lucky ones. They came home, so many didn't. Today we remember them all. And remember, we'd already had VE Day, and when they came back, it was a bit of a damp squib for them because everyone had already celebrated the end of the war.
Day, as I always say, VE Day was Victory in Europe Day, VJ Day was Victory in Japan. And VD Day was the day that the sailors came home.
But they were real heroes, you know. They gave their lives.
We wouldn't get. Would we get that again? You know, kids say now, I wouldn't join. I don't.
But hang on a second. When I mean, we had a country in the past.
And what did they do it for? You know, when you look at what's happening.
We had a country in the past that you could be proud of. I mean, when we've got a country where young people are not going to be able to buy a house, where the cost of living is going through the roof, where your local pubs shut down, where, you know, the Twitter police are after you all the time. Of course, people don't want to fight for the country because they feel the country's against them. But if this country supported our own people better, people would be proud to be British again.
Absolutely. Why not, really?
And it's dishonouring the memory of these people.
Well, they saved the world. You know, the VJ.
But what for? And they'd be asking now, what do we do it for? You've just, you know...
But let's remind ourselves, another Bangladesh thing, of course, the Japanese blockaded Bangladesh, and it was Winston... And if you listen to the political left, Winston Churchill gets the blame for the famine that was the result. He couldn't send boats to Bangladesh because they'd have been sunk by the Japanese. And yet nobody
They just call him racist and say cause of famine, which is a load of bunkum.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right.
The Daily Mail. Don't forget, Mike Graham's coming up after 6 with the breakfast show if you're listening in the morning. Fat jab price soars after Trump threat. It's tripled in price apparently. Cost of Mount Jaro up 170%. Yeah, you'll need a few gyros.
Owner of that company.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Manjaro, Kilimanjaro. There you go.
President demands UK pays more. The cost of King Kong fat jab, a Manjaro, will triple in Britain after Trump sparked a global drugs price war. Manufacturer Lilly says it plans to raise the wholesale price of next month to bring it into line with other countries.
Well, here's what's interesting. Of course, the United States of America, a lot of people are on health insurance, which have defined benefits. Health insurance are being bankrupted in the United States of America by these fat jabs, which is why Trump's complaining. But also, I'll tell you one thing, in terms of different prices of drugs, the price that African countries pay for HIV drugs is a lot higher quite often than what a Western country will pay. So there are problems with these things. But I've got to be honest with you. Look, I'm a fat guy. You know the reason I'm fat? Because I eat and drink too much. I just want to ask you as a restaurateur, Tom.
Not enough curry.
Not enough.
If he came to your curry restaurant, you go, I think you've had enough, sir.
What, 15 plates? 15 plates.
What was your question? Sorry, you wanted to know.
My question was, is it not time that people eat modestly? Because, I mean, look, if I look at... Right, so, do you know, I did an experiment once, Toff. You'll love this. I had a friend of mine who was really slim, who said, I don't know why I'm so slim. I eat loads. And I had a friend of mine who was really fat, who said, I never really eat very much at all. So do you know what I did? I took them to a Chinese Eat As Much As You Like and monitored the performance. And let me tell you, unsurprisingly, their definition of eating a lot was very different. One guy had 2 plates and went, oh, God, see, I told you I ate a lot. The other one had about 8.
The other one had his special plate with him, like Alan Partridge.
Yeah. No, health is wealth, and we should all take care of our health, really. I say 2 things, really. If you don't take care of your health, there's 2 types of people who will look after you. One is the doctors, or the others are, if you're lucky, children.
Yes.
And you need to. I mean, 3 things. Eat carefully, sleep well, and do exercise.
But also, the other thing is...
That's what I follow.
You've got...
Really? But I reckon you're one of those people that could eat anything and you'd be thin.
No, I'm very
It's always
careful.
those sort that go on about it, isn't it? Yeah.
No, he used to look like Johnny Vegas. No, but on a serious
I love
note,
my food.
I mean, one of the things that does worry me is when you've got all these fried chicken shops next to school bus stops. That is a major problem, because the problem is people talk about eating out. Different restaurants have different levels of weight, don't they, in terms of how much you'll put on?
Yeah, definitely. You've got to eat healthy. You've got to have a balanced diet. It's no problem having a lot of food if you have the diets right. Less carbs, more protein, and enough fiber. You know, that's important. The carbs has to be reduced. Then you're absolutely
What
okay.
about all the delicious rice, man?
I know.
Yeah, but
and the naan bread, you know what I mean? What?
Yeah, but type 2 diabetes in the Asian community, they try and avoid rice.
Well, it's the ghee, isn't it? It's the ghee as well.
It's
you
the
know,
ghee, it's the butter, the naan, the carbs.
Now I'm getting hungry. You've
careful.
got to have the naan and the rice and
I
all
should
the
have bought
ghee.
you a curry then.
Yeah, you
No,
really
no. The one thing I will say. I mean, when you're talking about putting on weight, there was that guy, Supersize Me, who ate McDonald's 3 meals a day. And one thing that I thought was important to point out was even McDonald's, and he did die.
he did.
Even
I read that.
But McDonald's do not recommend you eat McDonald's 3 meals a day.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. If I came to your restaurant for 3, well, you can't, it's not open for breakfast, but if I was to go to your restaurant for 2 meals a day, after a few days, you would tell me the more sensible things to eat rather than just go for a massive. There's a difference between a Friday and Saturday night and a weekday lunch.
Look, you can have curry every day. We do that. Our generations have, but you've got to have it balanced. Like I said, just enough rice and enough meat, and at the same time, good fiber, like okra, aubergine, you know, even broccoli, cauliflower.
Lentils good, isn't it?
Lentils
It's carb,
good,
isn't it?
yeah.
But
The only problem is
lentils protein.
it's delicious.
Yeah.
The only problem is with lentils.
Protein, though.
Tarkadal.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but the problem is with lentils, communists eat lentils. Right, real
Yeah, but they don't have tarkadal. They just have lentils.
Yeah,
It's
that's
terrible,
right.
Yeah.
I think takadal is honorary meat.
Lovely.
Right. Okay.
I could eat dal every day.
Indeed.
Yeah, I could. The Daily Telegraph, the West must not be cowed by Putin, and there's Zelensky having a mug of tea in a number 10 mug. Give me your tea.
Yeah.
See, look, I've got a view on this.
Milk,
which
2
is,
sugars.
You've got to remember that both Ukraine and Russia are former Soviet republics. There is a lot of corruption, and in a sense, there's a battle over the oligarchs and whatever. But let's just remember one thing. You can't go invading somebody else's country, and you can't go committing a genocide in somebody else's country. Surely the principle should be, yeah, we accept that Zelensky's a bit of a crook himself. Yeah, we accept that there are oligarchs. Yeah, we accept that there's governmental corruption. But you can't go and... It's exactly the same with the Rohingya Muslims just being
My
wiped out.
heart goes out to the people of Ukraine,
Yes.
really. And I tell you, I met a few. They're lovely people, nice. You know, all handsome as well.
And they're fighting properly, you know, they're
people.
defending their country. And the Russians, they come from nowhere, they don't care. They've lost 1 million men.
Exactly. Nobody deserves that.
Yes.
You know, yes, there is corruption. Yes, everybody's greedy. You know, the American wants the base, and now they're you know, the man's been like, I don't know, I think last time when I saw, he was so upset because they have really attacked him in front of the press.
Yes.
You know,
But he started it, didn't he, in the office?
you know, I think the language wasn't right. You know, he was translating his language to English. Sometimes he gets it wrong. That he said the word, you wouldn't understand what we are going through if you've gone through that's not the way to put it. You know,
Yeah, but
we're going.
He's not a politician. I remember he was an actor, comedian.
an
The
army
other
man,
thing is about Zelensky and that incident in the Oval Office. To be fair, he wears military fatigue rather than a suit because his country's at war. So when they said he was being disrespectful not wearing a suit, he does it deliberately.
He was trying to be like Churchill, because Churchill used to wear that sort of suit he designed, that jumpsuit. He's trying to emulate Churchill, I reckon.
Having that war doesn't help the people in that country, but it doesn't help the Europe, does it really?
No.
You know, I remember when the war started, we were the victim as well. Not as much as the people, I'm saying, but the price of chicken went double all of a sudden, because Ukraine produces the most chicken food in the whole worldwide.
It was the breadbasket of Europe.
Yeah.
And in fact, actually, that flag is supposed to be cornfields and a blue sky. That is what the Ukrainian flag actually is.
The politician of the world, no war is allowed.
But look,
please,
we should have a war over it.
Can you do that?
It's been
war over no war.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I mean, it's been bad. But look, as my honest view, it's exactly the same as with, you know, in Myanmar with the genocide. It's exactly the same as all of these things. You know, you cannot allow dictators to get away with genocide. You cannot let them get away with murder. And for me, even though Ukraine has not been perfect, what Vladimir Putin did in invading was a disgrace. Anyway, we are at the break now. This is the press preview with Andre Walker, Asher Gould and Toff Meir. We've got Mike Graham coming up just in a couple of moments if you're listening on Friday morning. The Breakfast Show, it's absolutely brilliant. Please do stick around for that, and we'll be back just in a moment.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Right, so
he's telling us how many steps he's done. 10,000 steps.
Yeah. This is a press preview with Andre Walker, Asher Gould, and Toff Meir. And what the gallery have said during the break, Toff, they've said we've got a message that Jeff Baker has sent in, which is for Toff. And I said he can't listen to it, and they went, no, it is for Toff. I went, no, we forgot to give you an earpiece. But
He'll take down the mic so we can hear it.
What we're going to do is we're going to cut the mics and we're going to listen to Jeff Baker. Go for it.
Hi fellas, Jeff from Southampton. My daughter used to rate the toilets. What we used to do is go in and have a drink. She used to go in and see the toilet. If the toilets were any good, we used to finish the drink and then order. If they weren't, what we used to do is make our excuses and leave. Thanks very much.
OK, just to remind you, for those who weren't listening, Toff Meir is the president of the British Bangladeshi Caterers Association. They're the people that run the Indian restaurants in Britain. And we were talking about whether you should check out the toilets of a restaurant before knowing whether the food's any good.
And I agreed,
buy a drink and go to the toilet.
Because it tells you about the hygiene.
You don't even have to buy the drink. You can go to the bathroom straight away.
It's a fair point, actually. Hang on a second. Most restaurants don't have a licence to serve you an alcoholic drink and not have dinner, do they?
No, you do. I mean,
can you?
You can take your own drink in for some of them as well.
Some of them, but license is an addition to the food. But once somebody has a license to sell alcohol, I'll let you into that. They have to serve you tap water.
Okay. So what we're going to do is now look.
We learn every day. It's brilliant. It's an education.
Let's just be clear on this. The British Bangladeshi Caterers Association has allowed their president to come on the show, and the only advice he's given is to go into the restaurant, don't order a drink, get the water, and inspect the toilets.
Why not?
You're going to be Mr. Popular with the next board meeting.
No, why not? Quite rightly. Because end of the day, hygiene.
Absolutely.
It's very important. You're operating a business, fine, but if you don't understand the safety and the hygiene, you shouldn't be in business.
Would you? Well, you should only really go to a 5-rated restaurant.
Well, look, it depends. Sometimes it's.
You can't help it. The odd bit of.
You know, it could be a catch-22. You know, you can get a small thing caught and you can get 4.5.
Be unlucky,
but my restaurant's always been 5. You know.
Exactly.
But I got told that
it's quite easy to maintain if you take it serious. If you do your regular
clean
checks,
at the end of the night.
Closing checks, opening checks, closing checks. Make the record. If anything's to be need to be done, record it, get it done, and move on. Safety comes.
Yeah, but I mean,
before anything.
This is the press preview, so we don't have. But we'll invite you back to talk about this. But here's the thing: I don't understand. They've got this scores 1 to 5.
Yeah.
If the restaurant's dangerous, don't let it open. So I don't understand the point of having the grading system. But anyway,
it's a bit of a grey area, really. And not only that, look, for your viewers, they sometimes visit premises after 2 years.
Yeah.
So, you know, you can be 5 today, but it doesn't mean that you can be 5 after 1 year or 6 months down the line or 6 weeks.
Anyway, I just want to say, A-level results, universities have been accused of cramming in students. I've got to be honest with you. Cramming in students presumably is what universities are meant to do. It's like saying Indian restaurants have been accused of cramming in customers.
But it's crappy courses and they've made too many people. They can't get jobs. It's like there's 30,000 media jobs. There's only 30 every year come out of uni. There's not enough jobs for them to go around. It's fake jobs, and they bring in foreign students, and it's just the money.
Can I tell you who is the
money.
most unlucky A-level student this year? Is my niece, I won't say her name, has just got into university, but what she doesn't know is that she's got on a course which is run by my mate who I go to Royal Ascot with, who's a professor of political science. And so
you didn't give him heads up, did you?
When she arrives, when she arrives and goes, "Hello, my name is Walker," the professor's going to go, "Do you know your Uncle Andre? I know him very well." There must be nothing worse than going to university. You don't even remember going to university, actually.
I can't, because that's what I was there. If you can't remember it, it means you were there.
Do you know what he said? Do you know what Asher said to me about his student house when he went to Manchester Polytechnic? Now man met. He said that they used their cutlery and their plates once and then never washed them and just had takeaways.
We didn't know about that.
Is it fair to say that's the only part of the economy in Britain is doing well?
It's true.
The education, you know.
They're doing very well, but the students aren't doing well out of it.
Yeah, of course they're getting hit.
Yeah, but the student...
And this is where I come in, you know. I always said, look, we shouldn't allow benefits to none other than the children. You know, we have to look after them. Disabled people and elderly people. We have to look after these three types of people.
Yeah.
Other than that, I don't believe in state system.
But hang on, but
they should find a job. There is job there.
Exactly. I mean, I heard a story today.
Listen,
there was a bowling alley was taking on a graduate training. You don't need to have a university.
Here's the thing, right? I've never been unemployed in my entire life.
Yes.
And it can be done if you have the willingness to work. Yes, some cases it's difficult than the other cases, but if you're fit and well, why should the state support you?
And it's good for you. You feel better in yourself.
But here's one problem with the students, though, and it has been a scandal. And I don't know what the answer to this is. We are making a lot of money as a country off international students. That's true. But when you look at the University of York, 3 A's to get in if you're British, 3 C's to get in if you're from outside the country. That's unfair, isn't it?
Yeah, of course. That's
they pay a lot more money, don't they? That's
why
why
they do. That's the money business in it. And like I said, that's the only
industry doing well.
And the bosses get like the vice chancellor gets 300 grand, 400 grand at some of these crappy universities.
Does those students count as migration?
Yeah, they are. They're in the migration figures. Well, it's got to be honest with you. Here's the thing that's happened, right? So you've got to remember.
They come off the dole.
No, I'll tell you what we're going to do. Let's go to the break, Asher, and then let's talk about this, because the migration figures amongst students are a major problem. But we ain't got time for that until the break. So we'll be back with the press preview with Andre Walker, Asher Gould and Toff Meir. And just to remind you, if you're listening on Friday morning, stay around for Mike Graham's breakfast show. It's going to be a corker. More next.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
So
we tried to catch her.
10,000 steps he did, yeah.
We tried to catch Toff out. This is a press preview with Andre Walker, Asher Gould and Toff Meir. Toff being the president of the British Bangladesh Education Association, our good friends who make Indian food. But anyway, we're talking about immigration and what happens. It is A-level results day, by the way. The average age of an undergraduate is incredibly low. It's like 19 and a half or something, the average age. But there are some universities that are just full of students who are 40, 50 years old and bringing children and all that sort of thing over. That is a scam. That is a scam.
Again, I want to say, the government doesn't think before they drink, I think. They create the problem and they face the... when the, am I allowed to say shit hit the fan? Honestly, they don't think. I mean, they should be business people.
Yeah, but they're making money, aren't they? People are getting money. Their friends in the unions, the academics.
How are they making money if they're bringing their children and we're paying for their education?
Yeah, but their friends in the academics are making the money. Their friends in the unions are making the lefties. It's their mates.
That begs me another question. Well done, Ash. I was thinking about it when I was coming by with the tube. So this boat business coming in, right? France is the safest you can get. Yes or no?
Yeah, that's right.
So why are they coming here? Why is it not stopped? And when they come, the hotel people, they're making money.
Of course they are.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And the hotels are owned by big companies that are friends with government, that have been in government.
Support the party.
Yeah. Or they're directly retired politicians that are now own these companies.
Yes.
So they're their friends. I
We've
mean, we
seen
saw it in
COVID.
We saw it in COVID.
The
People
sheep,
getting contracts, and other people who getting refused contracts.
Yeah. By the way, I should say at this moment, the British Bangladesh Caterers Association gave this channel an award for supporting them during COVID, which we were very proud to receive. Anyway, what's next, Ashley?
Anger as St George flags fall prey to council safety campaign. A Labour-run council has ordered the removal of Union and St George's flags from lampposts. Residents in Birmingham have installed hundreds of flags on the city's streets in the past fortnight. In a patriotic outpouring, however, on Tuesday, the council announced plans to remove them, claiming that they put the lives of pedestrians and motorists at risk, despite them being up to 25 foot off the ground. I mean, they're not doing it because they're dangerous. They're doing it because they hate the British flag and they hate the St George flag and they're anti this country. That's why they're doing it.
Do you know something? I remember I woke up one day. I don't drink anymore because unfortunately I've got gout, so I can't drink anymore. But anyway,
like Henry VIII.
Yeah, that's right. But I can drink a very small amount. But when I used to drink, as I've said before, I used to drink incredibly heavily. Toff remembers, and of course Ash does as well. Right. One day I woke up, and my trousers were ripped to pieces. I went in my bedroom. I discovered the trousers. They ripped, and there was all green down them. I was thinking, what on earth has happened to my trousers? And I didn't think any more of it, but they'd been destroyed. Anyway, I walked out of my house
you
on
didn't think anything of it? Just carry on with my day.
No, but hang on a second. If your trousers are ripped to bits and have got green stains on, you go, well, I don't know what happened.
Sounds like you turned into the Incredible Hulk.
I don't know what happened to them. Yeah. And I walked out. It was the week that the king was being coronated. I walked out onto Clarence Road and I looked up at the bus stop, and 20 foot in the air there was the flag of Ulster had been put up, and I thought, what had happened? Obviously, I must have been absolutely angered, and I shimmied up the bus stop, obviously ripped my trousers on the way down,
climbed up,
and put up the flag of Northern Ireland. Why on earth? Thinking,
damage your trousers.
I thought to myself, given that there is a flag of Ulster 20 foot off the ground and my trousers are ripped to pieces, one can only conclude what took place last night.
Unbelievable.
Anyway, it was taken down. But I have to say to you, Asher,
you wouldn't have done it if you were sober.
I don't think so. I will say one thing. What upsets me about Birmingham, we keep hearing about Birmingham. Birmingham City Council have absolutely destroyed that city. Okay, so it's been awful. They've gone bust and everything, and they're bothered about bloody flags. I mean, that's what
the reason they got busted.
The sad thing is the second biggest city in the UK.
I know, it's terrible. I mean, the reason they got bankrupt was because the dinner ladies sued them for, they said they should get paid the same as a binman, and they won, and they had to retrospectively pay thousands of women years of, and that's what put them out of business. On that, economic growth cut in half after tax raid. Britain's economic growth was cut in half in the second quarter of the year. Official figures show as businesses grappled with the effects of Rachel Reeves' tax raid. Gross domestic product weakened from 0.7% in the first quarter to 0.3% in the 3 months to June. It's the old Laffer curve, isn't it? When there's less businesses, the tax is going up and you get a less of a tax take.
I feel, and Toff can comment on this better.
Well, on the restaurants,
but my feeling is that Britain is becoming a hostile environment to business people.
It is, especially to small
businesses. Yeah.
Trust me.
Intentionally, though.
You know, I was laughing and, having a joke and all that, but that is serious. The government should seriously look into it. Look.
But they're doing it on purpose, aren't they?
What
for
changes?
The corporates.
Can I tell you, we're coming to the dying moments of this press preview. What are the 3 things do you think the government need to do for small businesses?
They need to help small businesses look at giving incentives. Like I said, the VAT is the biggest payout. You see, with professional, other professional services, it's plus VAT. With our sector, it's included VAT. Not a lot of customers understand that. If you spend £10, £2, whether you make money or not, £2 go to number 11 straight away for VAT. So you're left with £8.
And then you've got to pay more tax on everything else.
And we are paying, in UK, we are the highest food VAT.
Well, hang on a second. Let me just throw this
out
back
of
in.
the whole Europe.
Because Theo Pathetis made this point as well. So here is the thing.
Right.
Here is the thing. You have to pay business rates on your premises, even if nobody comes in.
Yes, absolutely. And what do we get? Not even bin.
No.
Nothing. We pay rates, so it's okay. We accept that. But the utility bills are gone through the roof.
And that's the electric. You have no energy price cap.
No. And the goods of raw food is also gone through the roof.
Enormous,
and one of them was the Ukraine war, because we do consume a lot of chicken. And the chicken price went up. And the reality is, sad thing is, on most of the cases, what goes up doesn't come down. And I don't know why. The people at the top, they've got cartel again, that word. Somehow they manage to make more money. And the richer gets richer.
Exactly.
And of course,
set up. It's all set up.
The other point to make is that you own a big city restaurant and are a successful guy. The majority of BBCA members are small families with small restaurants. They don't have any money now.
You know, the Asian restaurants or Indian restaurant across the country is owner-run. And it's like bread and butter. And none of them have become billionaires.
No.
Or millionaires in a bigger way.
It's a social hub, though, isn't it?
Yes, we have
people
been
know
providing
everyone.
that good service to the locals, whether it's a village or city of London.
And you go for 20 years if you find a good local.
And we want to keep that sector. And nobody's hearing. Number 10, please listen to us. We need help up and down the country, especially the small businesses. Look, you can charge the big corporates, because they have their way. They've got big investors. But when a small business is run by the owners, they have limitation.
And that would be true of little brickies and plumbers, the sort of people who are listening to this show.
All small businesses,
But the restaurant sector does give huge amount of revenue and in return gets nothing.
No.
Just like you said, we pay rate. We don't even get big.
Yeah, they have to pay the business rates before they do anything else. OK, so look, we're going to go now to the Mike Graham Breakfast Show. If you're listening on Friday morning, you can give Mike a call on 0344 499 1000. You can follow at Virtual Ash.
At Andre JP Walker, there's Mike Graham. He's chomping at the bit, so stay tuned. Morning.
OK, we will be back a bit later tonight. And for those of you still listening on Thursday night, we want to thank Toff Mir from the British Bangladeshi Caterers Association.
That was great, man.
Do you know what? It's so good that we've got people like you around, because you know what? These Indian restaurants are the heart of every community.
It is.
And the pubs are struggling, so it's just great to have them. So look, what's next for you?
Well, next is I want to
getting the tube home.
Getting home. But I want to tell the whole nation, look, you've been supporting the Indian restaurant. Please go out and support. Dine at your local restaurant and support our
what's the best curry? Come on.
Well, the Indian
curry, yes.
The national dish was the chicken tikka masala. Now it has changed to jalfrezi, and we've got Mongolian kurigasi, achari dumba ghost, takadal.
That was the press preview with
Rasmalai,
Asher Gould,
Gulab
and Toff Mir.
Jalebi.
We will be back just in a moment.
Lovely.
Chaos.
across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Okay, this is The Late Show with Andre Walker, Asher Gould, and we're going to be joined in a moment by Tristan Bembridge, who is a political commentator whose earpiece has fallen out, but it's got back in now, hasn't it? Okay, we're all good to go. In that case, Tristan, how are you?
Very well, thank you, gentlemen. How's life treating you both? And
all right, but give us a call, by the way, 0344 499 1000. We'll get you on, but we've got a few lines.
Okay, just to explain about Tristan Bembridge, he was running a shelter for the homeless. Unfortunately, had an epileptic fit, fell down and severely damaged his retinas, damaged his eyes, and is now registered blind. Has a very small amount of vision. Most blind people are not completely blind.
That's right.
Are they? And so, Tristan, if you've got any questions about disability, he won't be able to answer them. If you've got any questions about homeless, he won't be able to answer those either. But also,
he can't answer anything.
But also,
really,
interestingly, as somebody who's getting into journalism, we were talking earlier today about the whole situation with Al Jazeera and the Israeli Defence Force. Now, I know that you had not told people you were Jewish before the 7th of October and now do. Look, I'll tell you my view straight out. It's important to understand that there's a difference between potatoes and tomatoes. The fact that Israel is a democratic country where there is proper judicial oversight means that we can give them a higher degree of trust, because we know that if this guy wasn't in Hamas, the Al Jazeera journalist, then there will be a police investigation, there will be proper court procedures. What worries me, Tristan, more than anything else, is the way we're saying they're all the same. They're all as bad as each other. Oh, Hamas killed Israelis, but Israelis have killed Palestinians.
Well, some people are worse than others, to be honest with you. In my view, it's just my personal
That's just
opinion.
true, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
They try and equate this moral equivalency to try and go, oh, well, they're the same. Obviously not. One's a bunch of terrorists and one's a legal democratic state defending its people.
Yeah, well, most of the broadcasters from the Arab world are linked to the governments. They're very government controlled.
And the BBC.
And very much the BBC, indeed.
It does. It does. It worries me very greatly. We'll take calls now, because this is about taking calls, and there are 5 slots available. 0344 499 1000. What that means is that if you phone up now, you will get through to our producer, and so that's going to be very easy. But this is a phone-in show. But I have to say to you, it boils my blood when we are listening to people try and pretend that an undemocratic nation and a democratic nation should be judged by the same standards, because the Israeli Defence Force is not going to be judged to the same standards as Hamas by the Israeli public, by the Israeli courts. Therefore, by definition, it is going to be a more responsible force. Anyway, let's leave it at that and go to Edward in Belfast. Edward, you're on Talk.
Hello, Andrew.
Hello.
I take it is Andrew and Eric.
No.
It is.
No. You've got the wrong number.
Yeah. Well, I actually spoke to Aish and James before, and I have to say, James Whale was a fantastic man. Really enjoyed his talking.
He was a one-off, wasn't he? A unique talent, and
he was
severely missed. And tomorrow we're going to be playing a lot of clips of Whale.
No, tomorrow we're going to be doing the weekly Whale. We've decided that every single Friday from forever, we're going to play a classic James Whale clip.
It's later on today. So,
but my point is that I think a couple of weeks ago I was listening to you and Aish on the programme, and you said that your grandfather was your grandfather in the IRA?
I think so. I believe so. I don't fully know. But my understanding was he was convicted. He was a convicted terrorist. My great grandfather.
Convicted terrorist against Britain.
Yes.
Yeah. So you expect the like of our community or me or to join what you're saying about the immigrants now?
Well, I mean, I think there's 2 things to say. First of all, it's not your job to believe anything I say. This is the media, not a political broadcast. But equally, I refuse to defend people I've never met. And whatever my great-grandfather did or didn't do, I was only mentioning as a matter of historical interest.
Well, that's okay, but I've grew up in it. I'm 66. I've grew up in the Troubles. I've seen people blew to bits.
Yes.
I've seen people shot. I've seen people lying and bloodied. I've seen children lying bloodied, and I was there in the Shankill bomb.
Yes.
You know, so, you know, I don't like people turning around and trying to think that there's no history, there's no meaning in it, because sometimes England, as I said, well, I might remember this, I said to James Whale, Englishmen are weak.
That is a view that's held in Northern Ireland, yes.
How dare you?
Englishmen are weak because if it was here in Northern Ireland, at least we would fight against each other and hurt each other. But you just seem to think that, oh, just let them come in, let the foreigners come in.
Yeah. It does seem there's a difference in Ireland to how they're reacting
and hurt
to
these girls.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Edward, can I say this to you? Edward,
I think you've got a point, actually.
Edward, can I just say to you, there is one thing that strikes me about Northern Ireland. There's no point in saying I'm Northern Irish. My family were from there a long time ago. But I go over there as a Conservative. I go over there, whether I'm a Unionist, well, I am a Unionist, but I go over there, and it strikes me that there is a community in Northern Ireland that attempts to stand up for Britishness. Rightly or wrongly, they are proud to be British. And we don't have that enough in the rest of the UK.
No, you don't. But even now in Northern Ireland and even the Irish Republic, people are starting to realise that being part of Britain is going to be better than being part of Europe, because Europe has no interest in us.
No. Well, they're using you as a test case, aren't you? They're using Ireland as a test case.
If you look at France, the way they stand over the boats, they stand and wave at them. They know that it are.
But Edward, you know for a fact the following thing, and I've said on plenty of occasions that the English, the Welsh and the Scottish need to apologise to Northern Ireland, because when Brexit happened, let's be honest, we all did it. We all rolled our eyes going, there's the Ulstermen moaning again. Yeah. There they are. And actually what happened was the people that were standing up for the integrity of the United Kingdom were completely and spectacularly ignored. And so I think an apology has to go to you. I'll give you the final word, Edward, before we move on.
Well, I would say that you're wrong there, because in 1969, when the Troubles started, it was a Thursday night. We were watching Benny Hill on TV. We went out. I had 4 or 5 brothers and 4 sisters in the house. We went out. There was hand-to-hand fighting at the bottom of the street.
Right.
They started burning people's houses out. It was brutal. The turnout, there was actually children burnt to death around the street from us. That's the type of thing that was going on then. Right. It's not going on now, but we need to know, regarding Sinn Féin, regarding all the Republicans, what they did and what they end up, they're asking for everything what the Army, the British Army done. They don't ask about what they done.
Edward, we're going to leave it there, but I have to say to you, Tristan, I'm with Edward on the following thing. This ludicrous situation where there are letters of comfort for the IRA, where there is a Good Friday peace process, where the IRA, UVF, all of these people are let out of prison, but the Army, the police, the parachute regiment are still subject to criminal charges. It's madness.
That is one of the most infuriating things in the UK politics circle today, in my opinion. I cannot believe that we are selling out our own side at the expense of the IRA, who did us so much damage in the bombings of London.
But do you know what?
It was Tony Blair, wasn't it?
It's exactly the same as what we're doing once again with Israel, where we're basically saying, "Oh look, Hamas get a free ride. We don't mind about them." And you go, "Well, we'd expect terrorists to be terrorists. We have to hold the IDF to a higher standard." Well, hang on a second. Hand-to-hand combat in the streets, and it's just garbage.
Well, I'm of the Margaret Thatcher school of opinion. I believe you do not do deals with terrorists, full stop. You cannot do it. Yeah.
Well, they did that in Israel, didn't they? They released some of the prisoners, and then those prisoners were the ones who, including Yahya Sinwar, who did that October the 7th attack. So it comes back and bites you back.
Yeah. All right. Also, I should say I shouldn't talk about my family history because I don't know a great deal about it.
Also, what's going on with Sinn Féin? You know, in the south of Ireland. You know, they're meant to be all about Irish nationalism, yet they're even part of this woke bringing in all migrants, and they're meant to be loyal to Ireland. I don't
they're supposed to be supported. Well, the Irish Republic have bigger problems than what we have. Anyway, thank you, Edward, who's on hold, actually, so I apologise, Edward. Georgina's in London. Georgina, you're on talk.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
Good morning.
Wake up, everyone. Time to go to work.
Well, I'm ringing about the diabolical state of Britain at the moment. I'm very, very concerned about this never-ending stream of illegal migrants that are coming over in the ever-increasing sized boats. To me, gentlemen, this is a Trojan horse, and they are being welcomed on our shores with open arms.
It's a national emergency, isn't it?
No, Georgina, I've told you you're wrong. What has happened?
You're far right.
Hezbollah, Hamas, the Islamic State, Boko Haram, what they've all done is they've sat round and they said, listen, lads, you know, we want to destroy Britain. We want to kill British people. Don't get on the small boats from Calais to Dover. That's unfair. That's specifically for refugees only.
Yeah, not cricket.
And because of that, Georgina, we don't know who these refugees are, but we do know they're definitely not dangerous. Georgina, does that answer your question?
Just hang on one moment while I interject there. I would try telling the girls that are being molested, raped, and worse, also the children. This is, as you said, a national emergency. And what is grinding my gears is the fact that we have such a weak government, with a man running this government who basically couldn't run. He couldn't run through a bus. This man is an embarrassment. He is making us look weak on the global
stage,
platform. And at the end of the day, this man is a representative of each and every one of us.
Georgina, stay there for a second. Let me put this to Tristan Benbridge, who is a political commentator. I have to say, I've been not encouraged or discouraged. Right, it's interesting that women are stepping forward because of this concern. I'm a bloke, obviously, as you are.
Yeah.
I immediately start talking about terrorism, but it's interesting, Georgina, when she starts talking, immediately starts talking about the day-to-day abuse of women that's taken place. How concerned should we be?
We should be absolutely terrified. It's not funny. So many Iranian terrorists are getting in now over the channel. It's well reported and well documented.
Cells.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, why wouldn't they? They will do that, and that's the easiest way to do it.
Why do Tristan, Asha? Well, let's ask everybody. Why is it that our government don't care? Here's the remarkable thing. If I was Keir Starmer, I would sit there and I would go, blooming heck, I've got to fix this problem. What he is saying is, the policy of uncontrolled immigration is right. The policy of allowing grooming gangs to rape children is right. What we have to do is ban anybody talking about it.
Absolutely.
Well, it's madness.
Well, this is the thing, Andre. They are natural-born Labour voters. It's just a statistical fact. There's a large number of Labour voters in amongst the Muslim community, and the more people who come here believing that Labour will look after them, the more likely they are long-term to support them going forward.
But they vote Labour for a while.
Yeah.
But as we've seen, look, Slough is going to become an Islamist seat in the House of Commons. We know that once there is a critical mass, not of Muslims, but of people who are alien to this country. Once they're at a critical mass, then they will vote for Islamists.
But you've got Wes Streeting, you've got Jess Phillips, all the big Labour names are now at risk of the new party or your party.
I'm going to go back to Georgina and ask him, Jezbollah we're calling them. I'm going to ask this, Georgina, why do you think that the people in power, whether that be the BBC, whether that be the Home Office, whether that be government ministers, why are they so keen on allowing this abuse of children to continue because of the quote-unquote benefit of uncontrolled immigration?
Why? Because they haven't got the testicular fortitude to do anything about it. And it's got that bad now. They don't know what to do. They are sitting in their rooms having conferences on what's the best thing to do. We don't want to say anything because we don't want to be seen as being racist. Well, I'm very sorry. The day for that has passed.
But they're being
and I-
political. They're doing it for their own backside. You know, Jess Phillips only won by 600 votes. Some of them even
Jess
less.
Phillips, are we talking about the same Jess Phillips who's supposed to be the minister?
Yes,
for safety
the
of
very
women and
same
girls? Are
one.
we talking about that Jess
Yeah.
Phillips? Because if we are, let's just hold that conversation right there. This woman is not fit for purpose.
No.
She should not be in the office she's holding. She is an absolute disgrace, and the women and girls are at risk because of this woman's inaptitude to do her job. Let's just put that right on the table.
Georgina, why should we? I mean, I agree with everything you're saying, but I just want to understand more of it. Why should I sit back and say women and girls will have fewer rights than their mothers now, and that is the price we have to pay for multiculturalism? Why can't I say we don't want to pay a price for multiculturalism because we think it's crap?
The price for multiculturalism is being paid by every child and every woman who is being molested and raped. And we as a nation are being gagged. We are not allowed to talk about it. We are not allowed to post about it. We are being gagged. This is no longer...
And they bring in more and more every day as well.
Georgina, I mean, on the moment you're talking about gagging, I'm going to cut you off because we do want to go to Tristan.
Yeah.
But thank you so much for the call, Tristan.
Yeah, I just want to say it's so nice to see the women and girls uprising now in the pink protest doing their thing, because when men protest, police automatically take a nasty
Well,
turn.
that's why they're doing it. This is a symptom of an
Exactly.
authoritarian government. It's what's been happening in Russia for years. They say when the mothers come out, and I never understood it, but it's because what the authorities do is label, if men come out, far-right thugs like Starmer's doing out the communist playbook. And so it ends with women having to do the protest, which is what we've... So it's a symptom of basically showing that we have an authoritarian government, that now women are coming out.
Nothing more angry than a powerful woman.
I have to say to you, that is an excellent point.
Yeah.
It never crossed my mind, Asher.
Yeah, that's why they do it.
Yeah, let me think about this. So actually, you know you're in an authoritarian state when the women have to take control because it's so hard for them to come out.
It's a symptom of what happens in authoritarian...
Well, look, 0344 499 1000, if you agree with Asher or disagree with him, I have to say, it's gone down well in this studio. We'll be back in a mo.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Okay, I want everybody to just stop and think for a minute. Earlier in this show, we heard the political commentator Tristan Benbridge responding to the caller Georgina, who was phoning in about issues around women. Now, Tristan, during the break, you admitted something about that. Now, I think all of you that were listening felt that Tristan responded to what Georgina said with some poise and some intelligence and with some insightful comments. What did you tell me during the break?
My earpiece had stopped working, so I couldn't hear anything from Georgina or anyone else.
He made more sense than you ever have before.
That conversation between Tristan and Georgina involved Tristan not understanding a word that Georgina said. Well, I will tell you something. Even the producers in the gallery did not realise that you had no idea what was going on. So we've now got you the Madonna headset.
Thank you. The worst part is I didn't hear Edward's call either. I heard Edward and that was it. So,
okay.
Oh, you're lucky because he said some terrible things.
I'm sure he did.
he was having a right old go at Southend.
Yeah.
No, I'm joking. Okay, let's go to Ali in Leeds. Ali, you're through to talk.
Thank you, Garson.
You all right, guys? How you doing?
Yeah, not bad, mate. How are you?
Yeah, good.
So presumably you're not impressed with my comments about Al Jazeera?
Yeah, definitely not.
Why not?
Well, I'll get onto that, but first I just wanted to make the point about the illegal migrants, that the only way it can be stopped and the solution found is if the government agrees direct returns deals with the countries that they're coming from originally. I think that's the only way.
Yeah, I mean, I've got to say, one thing that really worries me is that if there were to be a genuine genocide, and we thought there was going to be one in Nagorno-Karabakh, actually, in fact, Armenia and Azerbaijan have done a peace deal. Gaza is a different thing. And then, obviously, you didn't have... Somebody complained to me the other day for saying there wasn't a genocide in Ukraine. What I mean is, while civilians were killed, there wasn't a mass genocide. We've had this argument about what is a genocide and what is
and no one talks about the Druze genocide going on now in the south of Syria.
But if we needed to move people to the UK who were victims of a genocide, we would not have the space because of the dodgy fake asylum seekers. But Ali, what about this? A lot of countries.
Palestinians don't want to leave. That's the whole thing. They don't want to be forced out their land. They're being forced out their land by the Zionists, but they do not want to be refugees to other countries. They want to stay on their land, whether that be in Gaza or the West Bank. So that's the difference between them
They're
and
not being forced out their land, are they? They are. In fact, it's the UN stopping them going. They should be
bombing the hell out of it and make it unlivable is going to force them out.
Well, I mean,
all the settlements in the West Bank.
Why aren't they moving the women and children out? The UN, they normally would.
Hang on a second. Right. So, look, Ali, let me ask you this, because as you know, I'm pretty neutral on this subject. My instinct is that Gaza needs a proper government. But when it comes to all this, it seems to me that whether Israel has got it right, and I'm not sure they have got everything right.
If you are neutral, do you not feel anything when they've murdered journalists, your fellow journalists?
Yes, I do, and I genuinely
and calling them a terrorist when there's a shred of evidence.
Well, there is evidence about it. No, well, hang on a second. I don't. No, well, hang on a second. No, let me make this point. So, So first of all, yes, I am concerned about the killing of journalists. Clearly, I am, and not least because I've been to a few war zones myself as a journalist, and I'm very keen to make it out in one piece. But the point I was making was that in a country that has proper judicial oversight, that sort of call between who is a terrorist and who is a journalist is easier and safer to do.
But they call every single Arab a Palestinian. They call them terrorists.
Yeah, but if you're a journalist in Gaza, what's going to happen to you if you go against Hamas? What do you think's going to happen to you with these nutter savages?
That journalist murdered Anas al-Sharif, because he's a human being with a name. He was covering the protests, what were going on in Gaza against Hamas.
Yeah, he's got a name and he's got a Hamas membership number as well.
Can I ask you this question? So, Ali, by the way, when I ask this question, it's not loaded. I don't know the answer. But first of all, Israel knows that it's going to get a lot of criticism for killing these journalists, and there was, 5 or 6 of them. Is it your contention that Israel fabricated the membership list where they found al-Sharif's name on it? And if they did that, why did they do it?
I could create a document tomorrow on Photoshop.
I understand that.
Walker, you're a terrorist.
I understand that.
Military ID.
But my point is,
I could make it tomorrow.
But Ali, my point is,
so that means that's your evidence.
Hang on a second, Ali. Hang on a second. My question is this, and I think there is an answer to this, but What effectively you're contending is the following. So first of all, paperwork is easy to make up, particularly if you're an intelligence service.
It's not just journalists.
Yeah, but hang on a second. Let's just stick to this one thing. Hang on. Let's just stick to this one thing. So, what you are saying, and I'm not being critical of it, is that the Israeli Defense Force decided they wanted to kill al-Sharif, the journalist, even though they knew he was a journalist and there would be an international outcry. So they fabricated a membership list of Hamas in order to justify killing him. My argument on that would be that is a very dangerous game to play. Surely they would be instinctively disinclined to kill him because he's a journalist.
Well, they've murdered 296 other journalists in Gaza and in the West Bank and in Lebanon, so it doesn't matter.
Well, it's funny how all these journalists, you never see any of Hamas shooting their own citizens ever in the 2 years. You've never seen anything Hamas dead fighters in all these two journalists with camera phones. Never in the whole time.
You've got learning deficiencies. When have I ever praised Hamas? Why do you always throw Hamas? I mean, I don't understand what...
Because they're the protagonists, aren't they? They're quite important in this.
I mean, that is the difficulty. Let's move on slightly. Tristan, let me ask you this question.
I don't want to go. I just want to make a point that if it was Jewish children starving or white children being killed,
they're starving because of Hamas holding back the aid and selling
you would be calling that country to be bombed and invaded.
Well, okay, let's say this. If this, so let's just ask that question. If this was a situation, say in South Africa, with a white enclave, would we give the same coverage, Tristan?
Well, there is a sort of genocide in South Africa.
I was just going to say that. Look at what's happening with the white farmers out there. It's barely been touched by the media at all. But because it's the Arab world, again, they're picking up on it, and because no Jews, no news.
Yeah.
There's genocides happening everywhere.
But also Syria, no one's talking about the Druze and hundreds of thousands.
Let me ask another question. Let me flip the other way round, because Ali's actually gone now, but sometimes he gets cut off randomly.
Yeah.
Let's just go back to Ali's point. Right. The journalists in Gaza are producing material which is extremely damaging to the Israeli war effort. I could see an argument of somebody sat round in a military headquarters in Israel saying, let's stop these journalists from doing all this. We could fabricate their membership of Hamas. Now, I personally believe that Israel is a country that is robust enough, this where we started. But look, I can understand why you believe that conspiracy, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You only have to look at some of these starving children they've been showing who have actually turned out to be extremely disabled.
Al Jazeera is Qatari owned. Qatar is Hamas. Basically, America, what they should have done is you say, look, sort this out, this is your... But they won't do it because Qatar is so invested in America, in this country. In fact, they own this plot of land and this building.
Exactly, yeah.
So, you know,
I mean,
let's
it is interesting.
having them as the peace brokers when they are Hamas is a bit like
it
ridiculous.
Is actually that is curious. Let's just as neutral people think about that. So hang on a second. So Al Jazeera is based in Qatar. We know that the leadership of Hamas are based in Qatar. We know that the leadership of Hamas have misappropriated billions in aid. Interesting that no Al Jazeera journalist has shoved a camera in the face of anyone from Hamas.
No one's been arrested in Qatar as well.
Is it? And look, just so you think to yourself, well, hang on a second. If I was an investigative journalist and I worked for Al Jazeera and I was in Qatar, surely it wouldn't be very difficult to get a taxi around to the hotel of the Hamas leadership.
But then you'll end up with a bullet in the back of your head after.
I mean, I think you struggle. I think as Al Jazeera, you struggle with moral legitimacy under those circumstances. Asher, once again, an excellent point.
Thanks, man. Thank you. That's two.
All right, but we are going to go to break. This is this is the Late Show with Andre Walker, Asher Gould, and Tris Bembridge. We'll be back in a moment.
across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Okay, this is The Late Show with Andre Walker, Asher Gould, and Tris Bembridge is our guest co-host this evening. And do you know what we're going to do, Tris? Because he's come all the way from the lovely, beautiful Southend, the other Lee. No, you come from the other Lee, so I'm from Lee in Lancashire. There's a Lee on Sea.
Are they twinned, are they?
No, we're twinned with somewhere in Poland called Sopot.
Sopot?
Yeah.
Sopot.
Okay,
Yep.
I'll tell you what we're going to do, Tris. You're going to take a call, so all you do is you say, Grace, you're through to talk.
Okay, Grace has called us now. Welcome to Talk TV. You've called us on 03454991000. What would you like to say?
Wrong number.
He's remembered us. No, is that the wrong number?
03444991000.
You could order a pizza from that number.
No, do it again, Tristan, come on.
Start again.
Okay, Grace has called into the show. We're live in the heart of the red light district here in London and has called us on 03444991000. Grace, what would you like to say?
I was struck by the earlier comment that one might feel seeing shoplifters. Why bother paying at all? And you said you felt a temptation to just nick something yourself because other people seem to get away with it. And I would suggest, although this might sound mad to some people, that some of us, and I'm sure you as well, have, although I completely get that temptation, I completely see how you could feel that, I think most people, unlike these shoplifters, have a conscience. And I feel like, to some extent, we know that it's wrong, and you might not shoplift, even though you see other people doing it, because of your conscience. You might say there are no consequences, but I personally believe that God doesn't want us to nick things.
No.
And I think that somehow, deep down, most of us have a sense of what's right and wrong. And it's maybe good not to ignore that, even if it seems like other people are getting away with it. I completely understand how you feel like other people are getting away with it, so why should I? But
Grace, from a religious perspective, would you say that God would forgive people who genuinely are in need shoplifting, but would be very angry with someone who, say, for example, just does it out of greed and to fund horrible things like drug habits and so on?
I think it's hard to have a clear theological perspective on that because there's not a clear Bible teaching on a person who steals something if they're genuinely starving.
Sure.
But I think, so far as I understand, there's not a lot of that that's going on. So far as I've heard from the people working in shop chains, most of the shoplifting going on is for greed reasons. We do have, clearance sections with very, very cheap food.
Sure.
We do have some food banks.
Yeah,
I'm very conscious that there are people elsewhere in our world who don't have those things.
Let me ask you this, Grace. And by the way, well done, Tristan, on your first caller.
There you go.
Excellent. But Grace, look. So first of all, I'm not really tempted to steal. I think what I was trying to say, and if I misspoke, I apologise, that it's frustrating that you have to pay when other people don't pay. I think,
and you actually end up paying more,
which has a slightly different emphasis. One of the things that worries me, and when I was involved in the Man of Journey project with Philip Ullman, one of the things that we said was that people are now worshipping things. They're worshipping, Bentleys, or they're worshipping, going to posh restaurants or whatever. They're very materialistic, and I feel like sometimes we've exchanged real happiness for consumerism. And I wonder whether a lot of this shoplifting is just the have-nots looking at the haves. I mean, let me give you an example, Grace. I don't really have Instagram. The reason is because if you have Instagram, and I'm not being critical of people, you don't have a life. You're making a documentary about yourself, right?
Does sound a bit critical.
And for me, what worries me is, I mean, what you're not going to do, as an example, is you're not going to put a photo on Instagram of you feeling like shit because you've got diarrhea. Right, you're not going to do that.
I've got a mate does that. You're going to
present your life as something other than what it is, about luxury and pampering and all this sort of thing. And I just worry, Grace, that other people see that and actually believe the fakery, and therefore actually are stealing because they want those luxuries that actually are never going to make them happy anyway.
I completely agree with you. You're so right. And I think that one of the things that's really changing in our society is that whereas previously it's kind of basic teachings like you should not steal stuff that we had because of our kind of Christian heritage, now instead kids are just brought up being surrounded by advertising, and they're thinking, well, this person who I follow online has got these trainers, so I need to have these trainers.
Yes,
or adverts are saying you should have this because you're worth it, and that idea is kind of replacing the basic standards that we had previously about what was right and wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, to some extent, greed is encouraged in some of our media. You mentioned Instagram, and I don't tend to use it, but I have just recently looked at some people from Love Island on it.
Yeah.
And I watched Love Island, which is complete trash. I know it's complete trash, but
you love it though, don't you, Grace?
Yeah.
Well, it's like a documentary. It's my David Attenborough.
Well, Grace.
But what I was getting to is that on it, I noticed some people were commended by their parents when their parents came in, because their parents said to them, oh, you've really been yourself, you've really gone for what you wanted. And it's like seeking out what you want has become a new moral standard.
Yes.
Whereas Jesus told us, no, you should put others first. And so we've got this real shift in what we see as good and bad.
My truth, as Oprah called it.
Yeah.
Sorry, go on.
I was just going to say, Grace, the other problem we've got is people desire all these luxury items. Yeah. And when it comes to shoplifting, which was your original point, people have lost the ability to save. So it's greed rather than need. And the short-term fix that we get from today's society of needing bigger and better stuff all the time.
I also think it's their job. They're on dole and they can make more money selling all this stuff.
I also think. Do you know what? We've been talking, and it's only because of the Gaza situation. We've been talking about a lot of Jewish things. I've got Jewish friends, and it seems to me, maybe because of historical things, maybe because of pogroms, maybe because of the Holocaust, or whatever, Jewish parents seem to be, from the Jewish people I know, Jewish parents seem to be better able to educate their children on things like, the value of saving, the importance of financial planning. I appreciate it's a stereotype, but it seems to me that the Jewish people I know just innately just have a greater understanding of what's important in life, that family's more important than money, that saving is only for the purpose of making sure that you're secure, and all this sort of thing. And when you look at some Jewish people that I know who are fabulously wealthy, they're not interested in the money, which is why people make jokes about them hoarding. They're interested in having a comfortable life with their family. Is that a fair thing to say, or is that just nonsense, Asher?
I don't know. I mean, I just think the most... We've obviously Jewish people have to often go on the run, so they want to be doctors of things that are more in your mind than, money. It's not... They're not in a secure environment ever. But, yeah, education is seen as very important. And
Grace, sorry, go on.
You were saying earlier about people kind of worshipping material things. And I feel like that's so much the case.
Yes.
If people aren't having, I personally, I find talking about what makes people happy, or I've personally found that having a relationship with God makes me feel the deepest happiness. But without that, people are looking.
But if you think about it,
looking for happiness by the football team they worship, or the power that they have over others.
But if you think about it, Grace,
or materialism.
Grace, if you think about it, what makes somebody with a Lamborghini happy is another Lamborghini, and it seems to me that doesn't feel like long-term fulfilment. If once you've got one, you need a second one.
Yeah. Another thing, Grace, if I can interject, you've got to remember everything has, for the lower end of the scale, been so unbelievably expensive recently, and it only ever goes up. And people do feel they have a God-given right, pardon the expression, to steal things rather than pay for them, because they feel that they're doing no damage to these huge
They feel in a way they're being robbed by the companies.
People take
Okay, Grace, thank you so much. I have to say to you, and we've said this a couple of times, there's been market research by a major red top newspaper. Everyone's going to guess which one that is in this building. But they believe that you, the viewers and listeners of channels like this, used to be strong believers in not being scroungers, used to believe that you shouldn't claim benefits unless you needed them, but now feel that if you don't claim it, an illegal migrant will, and also you're paying punitive taxes, ergo you might as well claim up to the hilt because everybody else is.
Yeah, well, exactly. And that's Grace. She loves Jesus and Love Island. It turns out as well.
So, well, Jesus loved Love Island.
Yeah, he would do. Laura in Woking.
Hi guys.
Hi, Laura. What's up?
Firstly, Ash, I just wanted to say I'm so sorry about James. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Been a fan for decades, and it's a massive, sad loss.
It is. It is.
So, and I am thinking of you because I know how close you
Thanks,
were.
Laura. Yeah. Well, no,
You're
thanks.
very
There's been a lot of massive outpouring for the great whale.
Yes.
You know.
Well, he deserves all of it, and it's great, Andre, that you're going to do clips and things every
Tomorrow
night.
we're going to be a lot of and throughout the year. Yeah, we're going to find loads of stuff.
What we'll do is we'll work out a way. We'll work out a way of people nominating what clip they want.
Yes, I'm sure I can find some favourites.
We've got the whole of the Tony Topping UFO man.
That's my artwork.
His art was insult. We've got the whole interview to repeat
That's my
tomorrow.
artwork.
Tony Topping.
Oh no. And I wanted to say hello to Tris. He's looking very dapper. And
Hello, Laura. Good evening. Thank you very much.
Tris.
Hello.
How are you? Are you feeling better after the Ozempic problem? That was quite. horrific.
Yes.
Just to be clear,
tripled in price now as well.
Tristan almost shit himself to death.
Really? Did you?
Oh dear, poor Tris.
Yeah.
So just to be clear, what Tristan did with the
What happened? I didn't know
weight
about
loss
this.
jab, he injected himself with the weight loss jab, and in the end had 5 pounds of poo in his gut. Which
came out,
which dehydrated his blood, so his blood was as thick as my mum's gravy. And he almost died.
Yeah.
Yeah,
basically.
I guess you hadn't absorbed enough water, Tris, and got all bunged up.
Well, always take your doctor's advice when you do these things. You must have done something wrong.
Yeah, for a lot of people, Laura, it works absolutely perfectly for them. But for me, I was just one of the unlucky people who.
By the way, just to dovetail on to what Asher said, if you take medical advice from a political commentator, you're an idiot.
Yes.
But that's no disrespect to Tristan.
No, that's fine.
But Tristan, what about that fact that the Monjaro, which is unbelievable, named after a mountain, is trebling in price?
To be honest, if I was still taking it, to be honest with you, Laura,
would you have paid it?
No, I wouldn't. No, that's too high.
No,
that's ridiculous. I think they're
$3.30 a
making
month.
enough money. Yeah.
People will pay it though to lose weight.
Or they'll get the NHS to pay it, and that's too high. That is too high now.
Yeah. What happens, Tris? I was just wondering, because it's basically a diabetic. A drug for diabetes.
That's right.
It helps diabetics very much. Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what happens? Once you come off it, do you have to go back on a tablet?
You just get fat again.
You just get fat again. Wait a bit and go back on it.
Or they'll keep you on it for basically.
But what you're meant to do is come off it and then watch what you're eating. And we had a guy who'd lost loads, and because you've lost weight and you're encouraged and your stomach's smaller, so
But can I? Here's my question to Tristan about this. Right. So if you take these fat jabs, you don't feel hungry.
No, not at all.
Okay. But I don't eat when I feel hungry, right? Because I'm a greedy git, right?
Andre, you're always eating on the show.
But I don't like when I used to drink. I didn't have a pint because I was thirsty, right? I don't go to the chippy because I'm hungry. I go because I'm greedy.
Doesn't work for emotional eaters.
Some people just enjoy food. It's as simple as that. And some people, if you've never had a weight problem in your life, you will never understand how crippling, painful hunger can actually be if you have a food addiction. Some people do.
You can't have a food addiction. It's not real.
You can, Andre.
No,
that's the thing. You can.
Emotional. James Corden, he didn't work for him.
No, it didn't work for him at all.
I'll tell you what. I remember being in. I was in.
It's emotional, man.
But hang on a second, right? They're all going on about emotional eaters and addiction and whatever, right? I eat because I'm greedy. Right, why can't I just say that?
No, but it might be. But the greed has come from your emotion.
What, my emotion to have
when
ice
you're
cream?
snuffling your Maltesers.
Do you mean to tell me you could start eating salad all day as of tomorrow?
I do like salad, actually.
You do? Well, that's a good thing, yeah.
Yeah, with a kebab and
No, actually, I'll tell you what I like. Do you know proper salad? When you put a proper salad together, and what I also like doing is I like putting like smoked salmon in and things like that, and then nobody does a proper dressing in this country, and it's so easy. All you do, olive oil, lemon juice, bit of sugar, salt and pepper, boom, 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 all over it.
And a dash of vodka in yours, isn't it? Yeah. Back after this. Break.
across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Okay, this is The Late Show with Andre Walker, Asher Gould and Tris Bembridge, who produced a fatberg in his stomach.
5 stone of
He's
it.
got it's only five pounds.
5 stone.
You'd have literally pooed yourself to death.
I really would.
I mean, I've got to be honest with you. I've said this before today, and it does come with the caveat: if you take political advice, if you take medical advice from a politician or a political commentator, you're an idiot. But I have to say, my best mate is diabetic, and he hates the medication, hates it, and believes that anybody who goes on it voluntarily is mad.
Well, and you can reverse diabetes if you lose weight. It was Tom Watson
but I
did
would
it.
just like to say thanks, Andre, because if I go away from this studio tonight known for anything else, it will be the guy who had a £5 poo.
No,
my future now.
what we're going to call you is Fatberg Tris, right? Because you know how, like, Thames Water have to get rid of the fatbergs?
Yeah.
That was what happened in your stomach.
Yeah.
But on a serious note, what had happened was the fat that had come from your body had so compacted that it needed so much water to lubricate your digestive system that it was killing you.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's not talk about Tristan's bowels anymore. I'm not keen on them. It's not you personally. It's more bowels.
5 stone of it.
Andrew in Salisbury says he's bored shitless. Okay, all right. Okay, Alison in Buckinghamshire. Alison, you're on Talk.
It's got a lovely
Hi,
cathedral.
guys.
Hello.
Hi, Alison.
Hi, Alison.
Hiya. I would just like to send my love and regards to everyone at Talk TV and Lady W regarding James.
Thank
you. Man. Yeah, thank you, Alison.
Yeah, well, I haven't been watching you guys for long. It's only about 3 or 4 years, and I only started watching it because of him.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Not because of me.
Well, of course. I mean, come on, you know.
Yeah.
You know,
No, it was great. I mean, he was compelling viewing, wasn't it, with James? That's whatever he was on. It was always, you had to watch it, didn't you? Because you didn't know what was going to happen.
Yeah, I know. He was incredible.
Yeah.
Anyway, you can call me sick if you like.
Sick?
But basically, I wanted to ask a question. Now, when we get a new Prime Minister, he goes to the King, doesn't he? And he asks him to form a government.
No, the King asks him to form a government.
Yeah. So why does he do that if he's got no say?
Well, he doesn't really have any. He has to do that, you know what I mean?
So the actual answer to that is, do you want to be geek? The Queen used to pick the Prime Minister, but she picked someone called Alex Douglas Hume, and it was considered to be the wrong choice. And so Queen Elizabeth II began refusing to pick anybody, and she said the political parties themselves had to elect a leader, and she would pick the leader of whichever was the largest political party. And so the Conservative Party got its first ever elected leader, who was Ted Heath. That is the reason.
Right.
So officially, it's the King's Prime Minister. So he appoints, but what has to happen is the Prime Minister has to command a majority in the House of Commons. So what used to happen after a general election was the King would pick, well, the Queen rather, would pick somebody from a political party. So as an example, Winston Churchill wasn't the leader of the Conservative Party for much of the Second World War.
No, I think Maggie Thatcher was the best Prime Minister we had. I mean, Keir Starmer, I don't know where you're going to draw the line.
He's the worst Prime Minister we've ever had.
Do you know what? I was watching Dominic Cummings say this, and the reality is, what he said, look, if you look, Rachel Reeves is now an absent Chancellor. She's got no control over anything. If you look at it, Keir Starmer doesn't know how to do the job, is not doing the job, and does not enjoy doing the job. I think his time is over.
Yeah, absolutely.
Really. I mean, he's just.
You know, I think he's just enjoying all the perks of it.
Can I tell you something?
Really...
We hear, so obviously we are not friends with Keir Starmer, but we hear things. The understanding we have is that Keir Starmer bitterly regrets ever running for Prime Minister.
Yeah.
And hates the job, doesn't want to be there. Fundamentally now understands what the job is and understands he can't do it. That's
and knows everyone hates him and thinks he's doing the worst job ever.
Yeah, but
that's why he never appears in public. When he does, he gets called everything.
Yeah, one thing is for sure though.
It's obviously, you know, can't the cabinet? Can't the cabinet like get him out? If he
They're as useless as he is.
No, the process now in practice. So there's some rules that exist in reality. I'll give Tristan a go in a second. But what happens now is that the king will invite whoever is the leader of the largest political party to be the prime minister. And so what will happen now is not like what happened. So in the Second World War, if you think about it, Chamberlain was removed as prime minister by the king in favour of Churchill, even though Chamberlain was still the leader of the Conservative Party. That will never happen.
But they
again.
all unified all the parties for the war, didn't they?
Yeah,
They
that will never happen now. What will happen is this: Labour MPs will remove Keir Starmer as leader of the Labour Party, and then the King will sack him as Prime Minister, and then the King will employ the new leader of the Labour Party as the Prime Minister. That's what will happen in practice. Tristan?
I was just going to say, no matter how much Keir hates this job, it cannot possibly be as much as the people of this country currently hate him.
Absolutely right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Alison. And nobody would call you thick, by the way. As far as we're concerned, this is a show for everyone. There are people who watch this who've got doctorates and PhDs, which is the same thing, by the way, in political science. And there are people who watch this who sweep the streets. All are welcome. This is for absolutely everybody, this show. So I'm not going to say there are no stupid questions, because there are some stupid questions, but how on earth it works with the Prime Minister is not a stupid question. Debbie is in Essex. Debbie, you're on talk.
Debbie.
Hi there.
Hi, Debbie. What's up, man? What do you want to say?
I would like to just say again, condolences for losing poor old James.
Thanks, Debbie.
But I was actually calling at the beginning with your relation to going into restaurants, how clean the toilets were.
Yeah.
Just as a personal thing.
Because earlier we said we spoke to a restaurant owner and you check the toilets. If the toilets are clean, it normally means the restaurant's clean. The kitchens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, there's nothing special about me. Just a general, normal person. If I go into it's the first thing I do when I go to a restaurant. And if that toilet is not up to what I think it should be, regardless of whether it's Michelin, normal, McDonald's, whatever it is, I will not eat any food from that restaurant.
Yeah, but the British Bangladeshi Caterers Association president said you're right. He says you're right.
You shouldn't be eating in the toilet, though, Debbie.
No, you should not be eating it. I wouldn't really happily be really wanting to drink a bottle of water there, but I'd sit at the table with everybody else.
But tough, right? Okay, Debbie, have you ever seen a real filth pit?
What's the worst thing you've seen in a restaurant toilet?
I saw a cockroach in the toilet in Burnley.
Nothing wrong with that.
Accrington, I think it was.
Fairness, having a toilet that is for men and women with carpet on the floor.
Oh, that's not nice.
Yeah.
That's not great.
It squelches under your foot.
Oh, no.
It's not cleanliness.
All right, Debbie, we're going to have to go. I'll tell you the worst thing that I saw. I went into a restaurant on the Edgware Road and there was lots of expanding foam in the toilet. Do you know what that means?
No.
It means they've got rats. Because you use expanding foam to get the rats.
No, it might have been someone